he knows a little bit about them.
Just a little tiny
I didn't
bit.
think you'd have to meet with them anymore. Unfortunately. Oh,
Rick coming?
He's not, he's got to excuse himself for tonight's meeting.
Well, I thought Barb was, where's the rest, your other planning commission members?
well, I don't know.
They got 3 minutes.
This is a half hour earlier than we normally meet. And believe it or not, the traffic's a lot worse right now than it is at Portland.
Really?
Yeah, everybody's still in town. And, town.
Oh, I.
I came down to the fire.
Well, we do have that.
Why?
I guess just that hour.
We're fixing Mike.
Oh, that's right. And I don't get it by table. Wait, no, time on comes.
I'm not. I'll tell you in a second. I just talked to Gage.
So what are you guys doing for Gage? What are you guys, working on something here really special?
I've got a couple of things, yeah.
Yeah, so,
We got a couple of things we wanna.
we just need to leave for a second.
Andrew, how you doing? How are you, Commissioner?
Andrew's good.
Nothing too big that you guys can't handle.
Well, leave it to Andrew, he'll get it all taken care of.
Okay. Sure.
Got back from vacation, turned my phone for a personal mode, that on work phone, so we get fell and like, man, this screws things at the ball. It worked.
Imagine that.
Figured I'd talk to you today,
Yeah,
catch up.
I think most everything. How are you, sir? We're good. I think most of the.
How are you doing?
I was gonna ask you about. Oh, good. I gauge you.
Well, Charlie, I just really wanted to talk about Western Weaver, what I call the modification to our general plan.
Great,
And then a little bit about Powder Mountain,
okay,
those two issues.
hey,
And then, which is gonna take not a long period of time. Then we'll
okay,
chime in for your work session or whatever you wanna do.
okay, I'll bring up, just maps of the area, just so we've got something to reference, if you've got any questions or if people wanna look at them. I'll just bring them up on the board.
Okay, so, first off, thanks for, taking a little time to be with us. I told you at the dinner the other day, I appreciate very much what you guys put forth. I was serious about that. You do a great job. You don't get paid a lot. And sometimes we take a little, you guys take a little heat for the decisions you make, so. We're gonna give you the opportunity for a little more heat, if that's okay. So here's kind of where we're headed in terms of what I'm gonna call the general plan in Western Weaver County that we did, what, Andrew, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah.
So we currently have received, and you guys already know the story, have received a lot of applications for potential development. That are gonna impact a lot of things. But the first thing it's gonna impact is what I'm gonna call North Legacy, West Region Corridor, whatever you wanna call it. You not call it Highway 177. I'll get into that a little bit later, but, we need to make some decisions based upon the plan that is now currently on the books. We didn't envision a couple of things. There wasn't a lot of thought that went into where we put the corridor, where we put North Legacy. And it didn't envision the inland port back then. Am I right, Charlie?
Right.
So, and so we do have some areas that we've zoned out there that are trying to control the colors that kind of overlap with areas that go into residential zone. So what I've asked our planning staff to do is take a look at, first off, what have we agreed to do, i.e. West Bridge, that's pretty much set in concrete, even though, I mean, it's a long ways out. We've already given them development rights. So we've made some decisions in terms of what the future of Western Weaver County looks like to a certain degree. But what I would like you to do along with staff is to take a look at what we have on the books, what we have coming in. And then let's make a decision. And I think we need to make some I'm gonna call them we may have to make some minor modifications to zone. Does it make sense to put half acre, third acre lots next to the inland port with manufacturing? You get my drift? So I think we need to take a look at those buffer areas and say, okay, this really shouldn't be half acre, third acre, court, this should really then make the transition to higher density and look at that. But I don't think we can make wise decisions until we take a look at, okay, what's been approved, what applications do we have? We've got, how many applications do we have out there right now, Charlie, that would impact that area right along 5100 through the river?
I'm gonna say desired applications. I think we have 2 formal applications, but I can think of 4 or 5 off the top of my head.
Yeah,
That's along the riverway. Whether that's close to Marriott Slaterville or closer out to the Westbridge project.
so, yeah, so, and what I've told Rick and Charlie, Tammy, I don't want to open up the whole general plan. We've done it, but we know now where the hot spots are gonna be. I'm gonna call it the hot spots. We know where landowners have agreed to sell, where the development appears to be in agreement with the landowners, et cetera. We have a pretty good idea on the transportation plan. So I don't think it's gonna take, I don't wanna speak for planning, but I don't think we need to look at a total revision of the entire thing. I think we just have to look at, okay, we know what's coming down the pike. Let's take a look at, do we need to make some minor modifications to what we have? We've got a lot going on 12th Street that you well know. That is gonna be impacted by potential sewer and water out there coming about that we didn't know 3 years ago. You know, with Weaver Basin's new plant out there, so I just think there's a lot of new information that you need to look at. And then come to us and say, look, you've looked at this, this is really what the planning commission envisions for the future. So, does that make sense, Andrew? I mean, we've had kind of these discussions.
It does, you know, I mean, the way we need to start looking at this area, as far as I'm concerned. This area is gonna drive a lot of economics for Weaver County in the future.
Right.
I mean, cause it's all new, it's new growth, huge potential, especially with the industrial sector possibility. And I think we need to be set where we're gonna put everything as much as we can. So that we got something to build on in the future and not build around or build through. And I think, you know, it seems like we take a soft seat. Watching what UDOT has done previously, that's what they do. They build through stuff instead of planning in the future. So in relationship to the general plan and where the road's gonna go, I think that's paramount. I think we need to find out where that's going to go. But at the same time, I think it needs to go more where we want it to go than where they want it to go. And I think my personal opinion is I think we should have, you know, a significant amount of say in that. But that's my nickel's worth.
For me, as they keep coming in and most of the ones that get to us, they want obviously higher density, it's gonna be up against this thing, so why wouldn't we put condos or townhouses and for me, what was presented and I'm no expert at this, you guys are so much further ahead than I am. But what I've been taught by this group is by the major thoroughfares is where the highest density is, and the further you get away, you have bigger lots, bigger homes. That being said, if that's still the case, I realize that there's and when you all approved JDC Ranch, for instance, it's closer to obviously the freeway than is Plain City way down the road further there, you know. It makes sense to me. I know you've got to have a community where people want to live there. Well, that means where's the hospital gonna go? Where's the school gonna go? And not just the school, but the library. Is there a drone port out there? How about a Costco? or a big Mega Smiths or whatever, Harmons or whatever supermarket there, or a Home Depot, some big box stuff out there. And a whole bunch of those little restaurants that usually sit around the corner of those. Has the city center, what was said in the first master plan, changed or moved? Because you've always said,
Yeah,
well, developers are gonna drive for density, or what did you say on that? What was it?
I said infrastructure doesn't drive the density.
Okay, that's fine, that'll work.
That came from our friend Spencer Cox, by the way. I
Yeah.
stole it from him.
Okay, well, he's a nice guy. So, anyway, that all being said out there, but it's hard for me because every developer now, to me, it seems like we're getting more and more of them coming. Have they been to the planning commission? Well, no, not that yet, but we just wanna tell you that other one the other day was really frustrating to me.
Yes.
Because it was way too early, and they want it now, but nobody wants to wait to find out where the alignment is for UDOT net, so you just explained all that, so. I'm looking for a little help, but I think with Commissioner Farrar, I support that 100%. I don't think we need to open up the master plan again. But we certainly we have so many more answers than we did 3 and 5 and 8 years ago. When was the master plan?
2022.
Okay, so so much more has been done since then, but and so much more will be in 2 more years. That's just the way, but based on what it is, I'd like to be able to support y'all and say, this is how this is,
Well, and everything has changed. The economics around the whole thing has changed almost day to night. You consider what we were looking at was gonna be a great goal of 3rd-acre lots. Now, look at the attainability of a house on a 3rd-acre lot for a young person or a young couple. It's, you're looking at probably a minimum of $600,000 to build a nicer home on a 3rd-acre lot. They can't do that anymore. So the economics has driven a lot of things beyond where our general plan was, in my mind. And so now we need to look at that, not from the economic sense. We still need to do our community advocation here, but we need to be able to accommodate what's financially possible for people to be able to afford to live. That's the way I look at it. As far as opening up the general plan all the way, no, I agree. I think we need to go out and do what Commissioner Prower mentioned.
Yeah, I really call this a refresh.
Right.
I mean, I think we would be remiss to the public and to the future citizens that wanna live out if we don't. We have information now that we didn't have 3 years ago. I think it's incumbent upon us to use that information. And again, if we think there's some adjustment that needs to be made, and I think there are some adjustments that need to be made based on infrastructure, water, sewer, and the big dog in the room is North Legacy.
Right.
So I think we need now, let's talk about North Legacy a second. I've had some conversations with Andrew the last 3 or 4 weeks. So we've always been under the, I guess, interpretation that UDOT would work with us on the alignment. They would work with us on the corridor. There's been some recent meetings, most of which I haven't been in, but were communicated through economic development. That Region 1 has taken the position that they're not gonna go west of the river. Which is right now, the only alignment that they're recognizing is the alignment that goes west. They came, the history there, they came out with, I think, 6 different potentials. The commissioners back then in 2009 decided to take the western alignment, which is now on the maps. Is that right, Charlie?
Uh-huh.
That's the one that shows on the map.
Yeah, let me get that pulled up for you.
So, what's been communicated to me is that UDOT will make the decision, and based upon the information that they have looked at in terms of environmental, et cetera, they want to go east. Now, east means, in my opinion, it could go through the development's now approved for Black Pine. It could go through some of the property that Nielsen Homes is now looking at. So to make a long story short, I think it's next Wednesday. Carlos Braceras from UDOT's coming up and meeting with me in my office, and we're gonna have a heart-to-heart discussion. And I'm gonna ask him to give directions to the county. Either they're gonna listen to us and take our information and then agree to work with us, or tell us where it's going. Or tell us that they're not gonna work with us, and then, it'll be incumbent upon me to go back to the leadership in both the Senate and House and say, oh, Carlos is gonna spend another 500 million on tearing down homes, which they're probably not gonna like. Because if they do that, that's gonna be far more expensive to the state. It's not fair to the developments that you've approved, that we've approved, based upon North Legacy going somewhere else. And it's not fair to those people that 10 years down the road get a notice that their house is gonna be like we did out in Davis County.
1 year down the road in Davis County, 1-year-old homes were being torn down.
Yeah, so to me, if there's one thing that we can accomplish as a commission is get UDOT to agree to work with us on, we're the experts in what's gonna take place in those locations. Let's agree on that corridor. We've already got a 300-foot corridor through West Bridge right now. So why wouldn't they take free dirt versus pay dirt?
Can I ask a question? Have they expressed their environmental factors or what's driving them to go east rather than west? They expressed that in detail?
Two things, they think it's too big environmental cost to go west, and they don't think there's enough traffic to justify going west. They think because of the development, they say that it won't be used. Well, we've got, again, inland port coming in, you've got, I don't think they've looked at our plan that we've approved for West Bridge, et cetera. So, yeah, two factors, use and environmental. Is that kind of what you've understood, Sean?
Yes, yep, that's exactly right.
So they see the density not moving quite that far west and they're nervous about committing to the road being that far west when maybe they feel that they can drive more traffic closer to the.
Right, yeah, they just say there's gonna be more homes farther east, which eventually they're not, I mean, right now, they're not wrong.
Right.
But so
5 years.
let's be honest, that road doesn't get built for 10 or 15 years.
Right.
What we wanna do, and what I'm asking you to do is come up with a plan so we can preserve the corridor to save developers time and effort, to save us money and the state money. That's what I would like to see happen.
And I would suggest if you have an opportunity, go drive the part that's done from SR 193, right, Sean?
Yeah.
And go take it to Farmington. Because what you'll see there, and this flies right in the face of what UDOT is saying, is there's a lot of area there that there's no development.
Right.
And really, now you correct me if I'm wrong, Commissioner, if you look at it, it kind of resembles what we have out in Western Weaver County. And so it's like, how do we convince UDOT that they've got the same thing right now currently that they would have here, only by the time they put the road in, there will be a lot of build along it already.
Yeah.
And so that's gotta be part of the set, I guess, on where we want that corridor.
It is. So I'm hopeful that by the end of next week, I'll be able to go to staff and say, look, UDOT's either agreed to be part of this or they're taking it through. We'll just make our decisions, unfortunately. Now they say they have authorized a study that still hasn't been given, but I'm saying, I told Carlos when I signed up to Capitol, why would we spend $200,000 on a study if you've already made your mind up? Right. Just tell us where it's going.
Yeah.
And we'll save 200,000 if nothing else.
As far as our environmental goes, no matter where you go, you're either gonna be buying homes.
Yeah.
Is that not considered environmental? I think that's right in your face environmental. And then the other part of it is, if you look at it from, from the perspective of what they mean by environmental. There's not as much environmental issue out there as they think there is. A lot of that, what they consider wetland is forced wetland.
Right.
It was made wetland. It was not naturally wetland to begin with and can be dried up really quickly.
Yeah.
So there's the perspective, or at least my perspective on that.
What you see on the board is the wetlands map from the Fed. And we already know, I mean, this project here, this is Westbridge, and we already know they've done a preliminary wetland analysis that said there's 95% of that is not wetlands. And those are the things, they did go to the same time, they came and asked for a rezone. So with that in mind, we're looking at this piece over here as potential for other development opportunities. For example, McFarland Farms, most of that is in wetlands. Well, they are actively farming a drained piece of property that is no longer wetland. So I'm a little frustrated that the money for the study didn't go towards actually doing a preliminary or conceptual understanding of what is actually along the alignment that was predetermined. But you can see here from that, I'm gonna turn the green off just for a second here, just to show you. I did an analysis of the original 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 different alignments that they had back in 2009. And I just colored them, it's kind of hard to see for you guys, but I overlapped them with where the wetlands are. So everywhere you see blue along this purple line is where their selected alternative crosses delineated wetland, not necessarily actual wetland, just wetland that they drew with a big marker on a map, based off of aerial imagery primarily. Whereas if you go to some of these directions, these yellow points along these lines, you can see there's only one right up here on this line. These yellow points are houses.
Yeah.
Right? These, the pins that you see are bridges that would be needed, either bridges or they're dead ending some of our roads if they go that way. So that doesn't seem viable. I'm sure that's gonna come right off of their map, right off their alternatives real quickly. This one was their originally preferred alternative, the red one here. If they were to run that red one now, we're going through a number of homes, little tiny bit of wetlands here and there, and then we're smack dab in the middle of the Black Pine project, which Black Pine said the type of product that we're looking at providing, the type of neighborhood we're looking at providing is dead if there's a freeway that runs through it. Whether that freeway is elevated and bridged over the whole thing, which it will never be, or it actually divides the project. And so we'd have to replan the whole thing altogether. And I'm pretty sure Black Pine would just say, let's just piece it out and sell it to the highest bidder.
Charlie, sorry, is that about 4700 west, that red line you're pointing at?
4,700 is here, 5,100 is here.
That's in between, okay.
Exactly between. Now, there's.
Charlie, show us where 5600 south is there.
5,600 west,
West or
west or south?
South, 5600 south.
I gotta go down more. Let's see, yeah.
I'm gonna tell you why I asked that question in a second.
So 56,
It's about right there.
that 56 there.
Mhm.
Where's that 40? Where's that 4,000?
So right now, where would,
Oh, that's it, right, there's the pond right there in Roy.
show us where the existing North Legacy would tie in to Weaver County.
Okay, actually,
That's what I'm after.
I'll get you a better. Look here. Somebody want to sing some entertainment music?
Sharon?
Or you can grab a sandwich too. Some chips.
Pine Street, Ogden Valley.
And just to clarify, because sometimes they have different names for environmental studies. Some of them, they're actually what we term the environment, and sometimes they're just everything in the environment, including homes and cost and impact.
Right.
So they might, depending on how they're describing it, they might be taking in cost mitigation, not just actual impact on the environment, if that makes sense.
I think it's all the above.
Okay.
I think it's, yeah.
My understanding is there's some kind of a balanced scorecard that they go in and they rate and rank, certain types of wetlands, species, plants.
So they're talking about actual environmental on this specific
Yeah.
point, okay.
Well, that, plus they're gonna be looking at protected species, they're gonna be looking at, historical and cultural, artifacts, they're gonna look at, information from SHPO, there's just a whole list of, laundry list of things that they go through. And then they go through, after they look at that, what the cost to the society will be, not an environmental cost, what the cost to losing houses or losing roads or losing whatever it is by cutting through here. And there's some kind of a balanced scorecard they apply,
Okay.
some kind of rating and ranking, so there is some scientific replicability to it. I don't know what that is, though. It'd be nice to get a good handle on that.
Yeah.
So there, you're right, the environmental is tying both of those together.
Yeah, and the reason for that, keep in mind, is that any federal agency that could, a lot of this will be paid by federal funds. And anytime you take federal funds, you're under every type of department that has their regulations from,
And you think their preferred route, how far is it away from the route that we've created?
I'll show you.
well, I think
Yeah.
Charlie showed that.
Between a half mile and about 3 miles, 70.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a significant amount to say the density and the proximity even matters. I mean, it's not like we're saying, oh, this one's closer.
Tougher road
Yeah.
that has
Right.
significant impact.
No, the distance is not, really the issue. I mean, it's very close. The issue is what we have planned in terms of the number of homes that they'll have to take out at some point in time, based upon what we've approved currently or what we will approve.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you've got that, and they look at, it's a travel shed model. So there's an element of distance that goes into that. They look at it in 1 mile increments. That's why you see the red here. That's in the sweet spot. It's far enough away from I-15, but not so far away that it goes to nowhere
Right,
in their minds. But that's all based on the information that Gage mentioned, what was previously approved, not what has been approved now. And frankly, if they do the study today, we're only gonna see what homes have been, the data is only gonna show what homes have been built, right? They don't usually make a lot of these decisions based off of real estate speculation.
But it sounds like to me that the criteria is pretty much the same now as it was in 2009. Not a lot has changed, because when we did the community study back in 2007 and 8, there was a lot of input from the Federal Highway Administration says this, here's their book, maybe volumes of that book. And the optimum amount from another major facility like I-15 was 4 to 5 miles.
Yep.
So that puts it right where they want to put it.
Yep.
And their unwillingness to move from that leads me directly back to that good book.
Yep.
Whether it's good or bad. And not that it's sensible, it's just that that's the easy thing to do because it's just boxes you have to check.
Yep.
You don't have to go actually do any work to get that. It's done. I don't mean to be offensive when I say that, but it's really true. If you want to deviate from that, then you have to go do something more extensive.
You have to justify it in some way
Exactly,
with
yeah.
more research, and yeah, I agree.
Right.
I think one of their main concerns might be that if we put it on the other side of the river, right now, they're trying to get traffic off of I-15, and it's gonna be hard in the meantime to get traffic off of I-15 if it's on the other side of the river.
You mean if it's so far away because of the distance?
Yeah, because of distance and the access, like the river is gonna block it. I mean, I'm just looking at like
Right, but
what
that's
the
based
rates will
on,
be.
that's based on the way it is today. But by the time they actually put it in 10 to 15 years, it probably won't be that way anymore. Because you'll have all of this build out here.
I agree.
When you
I
say,
don't know, it's just years and very long.
when you say river blocking it, what do you mean?
Well, I-15 is here, and if they build it over here and the river's right here, you're gonna have to build bridges every time.
Oh.
So it's really going to access the people on the very far side, and I don't know that it's going to unload I-15 very much.
Right.
And that's their priority in the next 10 to 15
Yeah.
years. So that might just be something that's gonna be really hard to battle with them.
So
If I can
we
drive
do-
out of traffic instead of with traffic, I'll go the extra couple miles to do it every time.
We do know that with the West Bridge project, they're a non-starter until they get a bridge over the river. So that's one thing. So whether it's 5,100 or on the other side of the river, 2,550 is still gonna line up in some way. We know their next, West Bridge next step is 1,800. Whether it's 4,700 or 5,100 and 1,800 south, or it's the new bridge that goes over the river. I think that there is a possibility to capture that. It's just a little bit more length. But the reason why I think that it's premature to ask the question, and it will hedge it to the east if we ask it now, is because they're not looking at the amount of traffic that they will be saving off of 12th Street and off of the 2550 bridge connection over the river by having this highway there. They're not looking at that because there's no truck traffic to count. It's all speculation.
And the inland port, how developed, I mean, that would be the biggest driver, how developed can it be in 10 to 15 years? I guess that's the question too.
Well, that's the $100,000 question,
Yeah,
but
We've lost two
but it's
big,
still there.
we've lost two big companies that could have potentially moved out there because it's 5 miles away from I-15. If it wasn't 5 miles away from I-15, that was their primary
And a
challenge.
bill that they will come for to do.
I'll tell you what Commissioner Andriotti would say if he was here tonight. There isn't any big industry that's gonna follow a school bus
Mhm.
to get to where they're going to go for 9 months out of the year. Now, I just wanna show you one thing. Here's the river, right? Okay. They only have to cross that river one time with this corridor. So they either cross it down here where it makes sense, or they cross it over here
right,
after it goes through Black Pine, but they only have to cross it one time.
that's true. So, yeah, I mean, the inland port's a great question. Yeah, I don't know, but I do know one thing, is that in the next 5 to 10 years, the infrastructure for the inland port will change very dramatically. You'll have water and sewer out there that you don't have right now. The thing that we've lacked out there, and you'll probably have power of some sort, cell generation or whatever, so the opportunity for a major, and we have a lot of companies that we've talked to, but without water and sewer and power, they can't come in. But I think that will change, that will change over the next 5 to 7 years. So I think we have to look at what then the future is versus what we have right now in terms of usage. At least that's my take. Commissioner Bolus, you have any comments on this or?
I have a lot of comments. And I apologize for being late, but, it sounds like you started with, our thoughts on opening the general plan, what we'd like to see. And my biggest thing is, and if UDOT won't commit, I prefer to decide where we think it should be over waiting, for sure. And other than that big piece of it, what I would like to see is we see these development proposals come in and all of them talk about, different nodes is the word I'm gonna use. Them. This will be the city center to build up and this will be, and right now, that's what everybody wants to build is the city center.
Yeah.
And I would like to see our general plan map reflect where we want to be so that there's truly a city center when that area incorporates. So that's my big thing, because when I look at all these developments that you guys bring, that you guys see, they're all the same concept, and I love that concept. But we can't have,
They can't all
9 of them,
exist.
right? They can't all exist, so that's a priority for me. As far as UDOT goes, I feel like we know better. I do. And even though I drive North Legacy whenever I can, yeah, there's a lot of open space on the west side of that.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean it was a mistake, right? You're building it and then your developments follow that. And your density follows that and everything's kind of built around it, so. I don't know what it takes for UDOT to recognize that a community knows better than they do.
Well, I think we'll have an answer for that next week, at least in some direction, one way or the other. So we can bring that back to you guys and then make sure that you have that information before, any decisions are made. So really what we've talked about is, let's just take a look at the impact that the inland port has on some of these areas.
Things that have changed.
What we
Right.
talked about is, do we need to make any small adjustments now based upon
Yeah.
what we've had so that we still preserve the integrity of the general plan that was put forth, but we've got information now that we didn't have before.
Yeah, I agree with that, just address the things that have changed over
Yeah.
the last 3.5 years.
Part of the planning cycle, plan, evaluate,
Mhm.
go back to the drawing.
And
board.
that, that could mean two things. It could mean we approve some things that we didn't think we'd approve, 3 years ago, or we're gonna deny some things because of what you guys come back, we may deny some applications because that doesn't fit in to the future. And that may be because of legacy, it may be because of other factors, but that's what we're gonna look to you guys to tell us.
I just feel, can I add one more thing?
Yeah.
I just feel really strongly that we create the narrative, the planning commission sees this and makes a recommendation, and although it may change a little here and there over the years as we see development change, to me, it should not change based on the applicant.
Yeah.
And you guys know that, that's like always the first thing out of my mouth when I say. I just feel like there should be some dependency from the community, the surrounding community and the landowners of what they can expect. And so we drive the narrative, you know, you guys come up with the proposal, we adopt it. If it's been 3 years and something needs to change, that's fine, but it shouldn't change because of an applicant.
Yeah.
So.
No, I think that's absolutely correct, that we wanna make the decision if there are any tweaks based upon what the future looks like for this area. Keeping in mind the industrial factors and how they may border a potential residential development. Now's the time to address it, not after we've approved something. So again, that may mean that we turn some applications down because it doesn't fit. But I think if we don't look at it, we're making a mistake.
Well, I think opening the general plan is something that needs to be done. It's a living document.
Yeah.
You know, having gone through that whole process almost twice, not jarring, but 1.5 times. We started it, then we stopped, and then we restarted, which was basically a restart. But having gone through it, and most of the planning commissioners were here as well, that's the one thing that everybody has to have as a takeaway. Public, you know, public servants, whatever we call ourselves, is that document is meant to be opened up and changed from time to time, not in whole, but there are parts of it that need to be revised to catch it up to what's going on. So I agree that, yeah, we can't just tear it down and start over again, but I do think that it's in good judgment to bring it up to date. And as far as the city center goes, I'm glad you brought that up, because I think we do probably need to look in this area for probably a different or better location than what had kind of been looked at as a city center out there, because it probably won't fit there anymore, given how much potential there is out here in this area.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna depend on you folks a lot to give us information that as you view this, what I'm gonna call the painting in front of us for Western Weaver County, to tell us what that looks like in the future. I mean, that's obviously, you know, we'll make the final decision, but we're gonna make that decision based upon your expertise, by the public input, what you tell us. So, I don't think we as a commission have any preconceived ideas in terms. So that's why I wanted to bring it back to you to say, look, yeah, I brought this up at the dinner, I give you guys a little more heat, but that's why you're in the hot seat. Now, before I change subjects that may surprise a couple of people, Commissioner Harvey, anything else?
No, preconceived, the one thing that's preconceived for me, there is a preconceived, is we're not likely gonna move the railroad
No,
going from east to west.
I think that stays.
Yeah, and I think, as far as preconceived, I think 4700 is a pretty main corridor going through there too. Doesn't mean it has to be the North Legacy Highway, but I think it's a Harrison Boulevard compared to Highway 89 or Washington. You know, I don't know how to do, you guys have all taught me. So I wanna understand why. And I wanna keep to what we come up with, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think it's just a good time to relook at this, so that when we're talking to potential applications, we can say, look, we've looked at this, here's what the future looks like. And here's why we're making that decision. So, all right, I wanna shift gears
Hey,
to,
Gage, before you do, can I ask one clarifying question?
yeah,
So in the beginning, you talked about density and maybe possibly changing that because of these big corridors. What is the commission's idea of density? Like as far as, you said third acres, maybe shrinking those down, are you talking going into high-rise apartments and those kind of things too?
This is my opinion. I think we're a ways out before the market would drive that. So I think right now, we need to take a look at the economics, we need to take a look at the market. And not that that couldn't change in 5 years, but, you know, I don't think we have to address that right now. Now, maybe we look at 12th Street or some of these other areas that are gonna have potential and say this may be, a zone that would allow us in the future. I don't know. You can tell us.
But maybe a potential, but not necessarily the goal. is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
no, I think.
That gives me comfort just because of the fact that you see so many of them in the central Ogden area that are vacant. And a few years ago, we kept touting about how we wanted home ownership, right? And apartments don't bring that to anybody.
No,
So,
yeah, I don't, my personal opinion is I don't think we're there, but I think we have to look at, okay, if we don't plan for that 10 or 15 years down the road, then we'll end up with what we get. I would rather say, look, if and when this comes about with density, this is where it should go. Does that make sense?
yeah, close to those main corridors.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, so if you're gonna have density, does it go next to North Legacy? Yeah, I mean, you're gonna have potential for commercial there.
Like what we saw in Vineyard maybe is a great example.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm not, I'd like to chime in there. I
Chime in.
don't see apartments out there. I certainly 100% want to focus on, home ownership. Rentals are, there's plenty of, if people want to rent, they have plenty of options, in other parts of this county that are available for them to do that. But I would like to see people start to earn wealth. And because that's gonna drive the next generation in a positive way. So that, for me, that's really what I'd love to see.
yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think our goal that I see it is to follow what really is needed out there. And that's to give first-time home buyers, second home buyers, an opportunity to create wealth through home ownership. Now, what that means, I don't know, but.
And even seniors, even a place for seniors to go and be able to.
But I agree, it's not apartments, so I think that, in my opinion, is our direction right now.
Yeah.
But, okay, so, I wanna talk a little bit about Powder Mountain. So as you know, you're now the Weber County Planning Commission, there's no Ogden Valley Planning Commission. So by virtue of that, you've inherited our little potential development up there called Powder Mountain, that Commissioner Harvey's very much well versed in. So here's the issue, you're probably already aware of this, is that currently, as we sit right now, there's development taking place in Cache County that is using infrastructure or basically using assets that Weber County provides, because we're the only one that provides it. So there's two possibilities. One would be to move the county line. The other would be to come into some type of interlocal agreement with Cache County in terms of how those services are provided. So as of last Friday, I actually met with the executive, George Daines, you may have heard of him, and Kurt Webb, that are the two executives for Cache County. What they suggested, and I've given them a preliminary nod based upon coming up with interlocals, Sean and our legal team's working on it. They have asked, they've asked Weber County Commission to take over basically land use approvals all the way through for Powder Mountain, for Cache County, I should say. So you would be just like you do for Western Weber, for Cache County, you would be the approval authority, the developments would come through, permits would go through Weber County. Now, we're not doing this for free. So it comes up to we would then have to be reimbursed by Cache County for permitting, for inspections, some type of infrastructure, public safety, fire department, etc. It would have to still be worked out, but Cache County would I kind of seen the writing on the wall, is that they don't want to put the burden on the major developer up there to deal with cash. County Planning Commission, the council, it gets very concerning for them. Number one, they don't really know the area. We know what infrastructure we have in place, we know what we've allowed on the Weaver County side, so I'm assuming we'd be pretty consistent based upon what we've approved, but we would then, as those applications come in, you would be the approving body for them.
Would they change the line?
No, so they don't wanna change the line, so changing the line becomes pretty problematic. And then, and the problem is how where do you draw that line? So you take it a mile now, you take that a mile north now, and then 5 years from now, you take it another mile. So as we have that discussion, and I agree with them, I think we're better to keep the line where it is, but then make sooner or later, probably be later, there will be an arterial road coming from Logan to probably the Davenport side, which would be a small city. At that point in time, the whole game changes. Now, when that happens, I don't know. But
So how does the public input work for Cache County in these situations? How is it weighted?
the public input,
Yeah.
they'd have this, I mean, they would advertise. We'd let them know, we'd communicate with the executive staff up there. They'd communicate with their council. If we had a public hearing, for example, they'd be invited down here. Now, they probably also have a public hearing up in Cache for the council, but then they would tell them that if they wanna have direct contact with the planning commission, it would be here.
So, yeah, I mean, it's fine either way. I'm just looking at it like, how do we weight this from our side where Weaver County has the jurisdiction, so to speak? Then we get input from public. And if all public is equal, okay, then we need to treat it as equal. But if they went through a process on their side first, it would probably be better than dropping that all on our side. And I mean, I don't know if that's making any sense, but it seems like we could get a lot of conjecture that we don't know a lot about on the Cache County side. And we wouldn't know how to deal with it.
Are you thinking kind of like a recommendation
Exactly.
from Cache County officials or something? Like they hear their residents and then make a recommendation to this body?
That's exactly what I think.
It's my understanding that there's not been a big public
No.
interest on the cash side on what's happening because there's no access from the cash side. So it's very least impactful, what am I saying? It's not very impactful on the folks of cash enough to catch a lot of attention. I don't think,
Until it's not.
So I think that if we go
Well,
right,
public
if that's
access.
part of the agreement, right out of the gate, is we take a recommendation or they hold some kind of public hearing.
Yeah, so
And even if at the beginning, there's no interest, at least we can say we've done that from the beginning. Well, from the beginning, you've had a say and this is your avenue, and then, when they do care about it, that's already in
Due
place.
diligence has been done. That's all I'm saying.
well, so here's what discussed. We would make the recommendation. Somebody comes to us, we would say, okay, we'll accept we would do this. We would make a recommendation to Cache County executive saying, here's our recommendation. You either come back to us and approve it through the council or not. Now, whether they have a public hearing or what, but
That's their.
all we're gonna do, and again, I agree with Charlie, I don't think we're gonna have people with, this is not gonna be Ogden Valley or even Western Weaver County, you're gonna have a lot of people because it doesn't impact. Who it impacts is us.
It sounds kind of laborious though. If they have to come to us,
Well,
and then also go to them. And their criteria is gonna be totally different than ours.
so let's look at it this way, we're gonna be the ones making the decisions. We will make a decision I don't think it's gonna be very laborious at all, because we're gonna make a decision, this is our recommendation, you've got 2 weeks or whatever to tell us you don't want it. And then And if they wanna have a public hearing up there, great, but I don't see a lot of public out.
So you're saying the recommendations driven from this side
Correct.
to that side?
We're gonna tell them, so we're gonna treat this just like as Weaver County. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
We're gonna treat this just like Weaver County. We're gonna have the application, we're gonna say, okay, is this something we'd approve in Weaver County? Yes or no? Then we would give that recommendation, whatever it is, to Cache County, and they could say, we're okay with it. All we do is receive something in writing, so we don't get, this be part of the interlocal that we have, that would spell it out, what those steps would be. But they would like us to be the land use authority, let me put it that way, because they don't understand it. They don't want to understand it, they don't have the infrastructure right now to really have input. So,
There's an assumption there, though, that they would follow the recommendation of this body. Like,
Yeah.
You recommend it to them and they're like, we don't agree. I mean, they could do that.
they could. Yeah, I mean, if we make a recommendation and they come back and say, hey, our council won't go for it, then then we just deny it. And then that whoever it was would have to go to the executives up there and plead their case, say they either solved it or not.
What do you mean we would deny it?
Pardon?
If this planning commission makes a recommendation to Cache County, how are we denying that? Has to be approved by their officials, right?
We have to, yeah, the way that George, and that comes down to the interlocal, the way George would like to do it is that we make the recommendation, that they, unless there's serious concerns from the executive team, which he has the right to do, that it's approved. So,
I think that needs to happen first. I
I
think
think
that happens first, because if they're saying, hey, listen. This planning commission, this body can hear and accept or deny it. I don't want to go through all that work, it's only to have their body up there say
I'm
no.
interested, yeah.
Because we're not getting any of the repayment on any of that, it holds up.
And
the
that can
development.
change when they decided they wanted to take care of their own.
Yeah, if they wanna take care of it on their own from there on out, but I think in the agreement up front, what they're doing is. They need to trust, or they need to give us the decision-making authority from this body and our body.
I
To move forward, because they can't have final say, they have to, preliminary say is, you want us to do this? Well, if this is what you want us to do, this does this. Otherwise, as far as I'm concerned, they can build the road and have their own fire station and their own police and their own snow removal on the road and everything else, and they're not gonna do that. These homes up there are, they're fantastic.
Property tax generators, so take that.
They might pay $2,000 a square foot for those homes.
But they're
They
big.
have to go to Weaver County.
A portion,
Make that
Portion.
decision, they have to.
we'll have to do an interlocal, because this is a cash cow for them.
Well,
it
it's
is,
a cash cow
well,
for
we're gonna get
them.
reimbursed.
Yeah.
We're not doing this for free.
Oh, great, I'm okay with that, we have to be reimbursed with everything.
Yeah.
Better than that.
It's also not fair for an applicant to have to go through all these different agencies.
Exactly, the applicant doesn't care where the border is.
Yeah, and again, the way, it's gonna come down to the interlocal, but the way that the discussion was, is that you guys and Weaver County Commission will make the decision. So when I say recommendation, when somebody comes to us before any hearings, they say, we have this application, this is what we would probably recommend. We send that, if we say, do you want us to proceed with it or not? So that we don't go through gyrations until, basically,
Right,
we just tell them what's taking place, here's what our intent is, tell us that you're gonna be okay with it. And then but once we get that, what I'm gonna call preliminary, okay, it's our baby, we deal with it.
Which is adding an extra step from what you already do, right? So
Yeah.
just increase the fee tremendously.
Right,
But then is it the applicant that has to suffer from that, or is it Cache County? If
well,
the
I don't know if the applicant has, yeah, I think the applicant,
I know,
I mean, we know who the applicant will probably be, sure. And so, I think based upon, again, our discussions, it's gonna be just no different than what we approve now for Weaver County. Other than we get one preliminary.
I would just say, if we're taking over the responsibility of the land and my sidebar, it sounds like the agreement should be, if we take it over, we have the final decision.
Yeah.
You can give us your input after, but it doesn't, but they don't make the decision.
No,
Yeah, we say this is a recommendation, we make, and maybe, yeah, just have the one round of, do you have any concerns you want us to reconsider? But the decision.
Legal
is with us.
recommendation won't even do that, it'll be for county has the authority, make all the decisions, Cache County.
Yeah.
Too bad,
Yeah.
that's what our local.
I say Cache County, if you want a voice, you come and sit here like any other public person.
and they're not looking for a voice.
Right, I don't say if they did,
Yeah,
that would be.
Yeah, but their public might be looking for a voice.
But
That's-
do they
that's a little-
deserve a voice in something that doesn't impact them? That's the question.
That's what I mean. How do you weight that? How do you weight their public input?
Well, the interlocal agreement could be written in a way to say that as soon as there is a road connection down into the Cache Valley, that's when they're gonna start caring. Maybe that's the trigger that says, all right, Cache, we can reevaluate the interlocal and determine whether or not you wanna start making these kinds of decisions. So I think we can probably work out a lot of these contingencies, so it's just as simple for Cache on this side as it is on that side. Even though I'm guessing a portion of the property tax, retail tax, TRT taxes is gonna go to them and a portion will go to us, or are we just gonna work that out some other way?
yeah, it's gonna be a combination of all the above.
We've gotta figure all that.
Yeah, so it's, that's all gonna have to be explained out, it's gonna have to be agreed, but I guess I would say one thing. This is basically gonna be our decisions, your decisions, to approve or not approve. Once that interlocal, they give us the right to make those decisions. I think, there'll be something in that interlocal that we inform them at some point. My opinion is we inform them on the front side. Do you want us to proceed with this? Here's our plan, tell us now, and we either do it or you don't. But we've got authority to make the decisions.
Well, the only reason I bring up what I'm bringing up is one concern. We have someone who has enough power to block a road going up from the other side, the way I understand it.
Right.
So if that person's not happy with something that Weaver County's doing, they could make life a little bit of hell. And so that's why I'm, just kind of throwing that out there. Maybe that just goes out to make sure that we cover all of those contingencies that might, that might present themselves in some ugly manner down the road.
Yeah. Okay, well, there's a lot of work yet to be done. That's preliminary. Don't lose any sleep over it yet. But that's the direction that we would like to head. And I think the developer up there would like to head. And make things a little easier, and then we can make a decision, but. A few things left to still resolve. Make sense? Anything else? Appreciate your time.
Thank you. We appreciate your time. Thanks for coming to meet with us.
Yeah, we need to do this more often.
Say that every 2 years.
I guess the second time I've been here.
Yeah, you probably don't wanna see us again.
Next week.
Thanks for what you do.
Thanks, you guys.
Have you had anything brought to you from the Upper Valley? Yeah. At all, any projects from the east side of the mountains? What is it?
Is that what you mean, as far as
Yeah.
not major project?
Outer Mountain has had a few.
Outer Mountain, yeah, that'd be it, and then you're gonna get up to Evergreen and Causey.
Little bits and pieces up in those areas, but not a ton. Because somebody else decides to buy a lot of property and create another resort.
What's your concern, Commissioner?
No, I'd like to have representation. We talked a little bit about that, there's so few full-time homeowners up there based on the rest of the people. I mean, you've got 265,000 on this side. You might have the full-time residents up there with all those subdivisions. 200, 300,
Yeah, not incorporated,
yeah.
the most.
What about representation here? No, on this plan.
I think we keep it here. I think this body can take
I
care
don't
of
think
it.
we have any applicants.
We actually reached out to some people in South Mountain, did we not?
Yeah, we didn't get in.
So nobody, we offered, and they said nobody was interested.
Done our job.
We did our job.
I'll speak for the planning commission. We will do our best to continue to do the job that we've done. And if that's satisfactory.
And let me tell you what's being said behind your back. We trust this planning commission. This is a budget.
Well, I thought you were gonna tell us the truth.
They tell me.
Charlie, are we in the other room?
All right, you've got another meeting to get to.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks.
Done good,
Okay,
Gage.
Jeff?
Fire me up, son.
You coming back over here, after?
Hey, take care. Jeff? Thanks, guys.
You're getting, Jim Marvin. He's got one ball. Same thing.
What's the public hearing?
Yes.
No, good.
Good. The way they have this meeting structured is that.
Mr. Linder?
Are you Felix?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Scott's construction manager. Oh, hi, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming.
Well, Wayne's not here, so we might have to. Oh, I can switch him.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
You're sitting over here?
It's been that long. Yeah.
Someone planning commissioners.
Oh, I thought we were going back over. Thank you. You got a work session item, but that's okay. No, you're fine, Jim. Thank you. Appreciate it.
We're gonna be late.
I hope not.
Was it?
Are you ready, Mona?
We're good to go.
Okay.
You might be dreaming.
All right, folks, we'll get our meeting started. Welcome to the Western, we're not Western anymore. I gotta get that out of my head. Welcome to the Weber County Planning Commission meeting for March 3rd. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate seeing people out in the seats. Doesn't happen very often. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. I hold allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Let's see, all are in attendance except for Commissioner Andriotti, who's excused from the court.
You be a little louder, we can't hear you.
I will try. Thank you. Is that better?
That's much better.
Okay, sorry. Okay, all right. Folks, let's see. Any questions or comments or concerns on the minutes from the February 3rd meeting?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, I have a correction. I was excused for that meeting, but enlisted as being present.
Okay. And let's see, on the February, on which one was that?
February 3rd.
February 3rd, okay. And then on the February 10th meeting, it doesn't show Commissioner Quantz as in attendance, and she was there. So those are two corrections. Did anybody else see anything else on it? Okay. Seeing no further, information on that, we'll go ahead. Oh, Commissioner.
I did have one, but.
Okay.
It's really not a big deal, but sorry, on February 3rd meeting, under 3 words, remarks from planning commissioners, down, the second paragraph, it says Chair or Vice Chair Neville noted traffic light at 4700 West was taking an unusually long time. That wasn't my quote, and I do not remember who it was, but it's pretty insignificant, but I don't know who was noting that there was or like, was it Wayne that mentioned that during that discussion? Yeah, so
I can't remember.
that's my note. It's not that big of a deal. It's not that significant, but. Oh, right below it, Commissioner Wickern is, there's, she was part of the discussion for, separate meeting for the planning commission minutes. So I think her friend, sorry. Sheriff Borough, Commissioner Wickern briefly discussed that they have been in separate meeting. Oh, yeah, it was just, I think I was just saying, that was for, because you guys both came in a little bit late. Is that what it was? So that's not really in the right place. Not sure what that statement is, so I think they could just get rid of that statement. Maybe. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. With both of those statements, really, they're not significant, they don't matter.
Okay. Sorry, anything else? Then I will suggest that we approve the meeting minutes for the 3rd and the 10th of February based on those changes. And I don't know, I don't think, Charlie, we have to do a motion for that, and then just go ahead and approve those.
I'd say take a motion to
Okay. So moved. Second? Second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. That carries unanimously. Thank you, Commissioners. Next item on our agenda for tonight is the consent items, 2.1 CP 2026-03. Commissioners, these are both consent items. I think the staff has some presentation for these. Is that correct?
No.
Sure.
It depends. If you guys would like to remove it from consent,
Right.
then we can walk you through some of that, but our intention was to put it on consent. Seemed like these ones were slammed on.
Pretty straightforward, yeah. So getting that council, commissioners, these are consent items. We can approve these both in one vote, I believe, if we so desire to do that. So unless anyone has a burning desire to take these off of the consent agenda, I will ask for a motion to approve both 2.1 CUP 2026-03 and 2.2 CUP 2026-04.
Someone.
Second. We got a motion and a second. We need to do a roll call on that.
Do a roll call.
Okay. Commissioner Lindsay? Aye. Commissioner Ricker?
Aye.
Commissioner Newbell? Aye. Commissioner Quants?
Aye.
Commissioner McCormick? Aye. Chair votes aye as well. Those two items on the consent agenda passed unanimously. Next item on our agenda, item number 3, legislative item 3.1 CMA 2026-02. An application to rezone approximately 14 acres of land located at approximately 3,300 west, 2550 south from A1 zone to R115 zone. Do we have the applicant here tonight? Yeah. Okay. And Director,
Thank you, Director. So this is a legislative item. As a legislative item, planning commissioners, you've got very broad discretion on your evaluation and your recommendation. Any decision that you guys make on this item is only a recommendation that will go to the county commission. You will be required to have a public hearing. It's been noticed for a public hearing. So once
Again, we are having a real tough time hearing you.
sorry about that. We'll try to.
Artie, can you turn the speakers up?
I don't even know how to do that.
It's in the back room there.
The background.
I'll try and talk real close to the microphone. So as a legislative item, you guys are a recommending body. You'll be passing on a recommendation to the county commission who will make a final decision on this item. It is required to hold public hearings so that we can take public input, and we may have a help crowd here to give us some input on this. As we do so, it's important when giving comments that we always keep the direction to the planning commission. This is the planning commission's meeting. So not engaged in back and forth amongst the crowd, and just be respectful.
Thank you, Director. And so on that note, we invite and has already shown up to the lectern there to the developer to give us a little bit of an outline on what we want to accomplish here.
So my name is Scott Mann. I'm owner and general contractor for Winter Construction. This piece of property, approximately 3380 west, 2550 south in Taylor. I am looking to rezone that from the agricultural zone there now to an R115, which is the current zoning future land use on the general plan. Yeah, that's all I have for now.
Okay. All right. We may ask you to come back up and answer some questions later on. Felix, do you want to give us a report?
Yes, I'll try to speak loud as well. So, yes, good evening, commissioners. We have a report that's been sent out to each commissioner, and we've also made sure to send out notice to the local community members. What we did is we took a 500-foot radius and put a mailer out, and made notice to the public to attend this public hearing, where we could gather some public comment as well as give staff, myself, to a chance to present some of the details from this proposal, and also just to kind of show quickly how it conforms to, or do portions that maybe need some touching up. as well. And also, I would intend on closing with a recommendation. So what we have before you on this map is just the vicinity map. It just shows some of the aerial pictures and the imagery. It helps to kind of show what kind of land use we have in the surrounding area. It could also be helpful to see some of the streets and, you know, the way that the properties in the surrounding area are configured, land use. In this case, what you have in this part of unincorporated Weaver County is zoned agricultural A1. So this is a 40,000 square foot, you know, density zoning currently. And what this request is for Mr. Scotland would like to change or amend the zoning map, in effect, change the zoning to residential R115, which would allow for this 14-acre parcel to be developed as single family residence, and the applicant is actually specializes in patio homes. So you would likely see patio homes built on anywhere from, you know, 8,500 or 8,500, maybe up to 10,000 square foot lots. And there would be 40 lots potentially. The development plan that we have is for 39 lots. So let me walk through some slides here, and we'll touch on some of the details from county land use code as well as the general plan. And feel free to, you know, let me know if you have any questions. I can answer them. So here's the next map, the next slide I'd like to share. So this is the concept plan from the developer, and you can see how they have that public road access in. This public road would be a 66-foot public road and considered a neighborhood street. And then you also have a road that provides more frontage for the remaining lots, and that would be a 60-foot right of way. But another thing to observe is on the north edge of this property, which is the top of the screen there, is a half street dedication, so 33 feet. What this does is this actually helps satisfy the start to formation of neighborhood blocks in this area. And it also satisfies that minimum distance between intersections of public streets. And then on this map, you can also see the dark dashed line. That would indicate pathway corridors for, you know, biking and walking and things like that, non-motorized pedestrian type access. And so again, the project area totals 14 acres, and you can see what they've done is they've provided some density calculations to show that the potential is 40 lots. But in this, like I mentioned, this is 39 lot proposal. Okay, going on to the next slide.
Before you move on, can I just get clarification? We go back to that slide. So potential would be 40 lots, but that's if they had two entrances, right? And exits.
That is correct.
So right now, the potential is only 30 or 32?
It would be 30, and if they wanted to exceed that, they would need to provide that emergency egress route, which that's something I'll touch on as well. So that's a good point. And so here's a kind of a more detailed view. What planning staff does is we get an application and we provide some feedback as to, you know, how can this better fit with the code. And so what we've cited here are some code references regarding the minimum block length, which for a street intersection would be 800 feet, and then for a pathway is 400. We'd also like to see that the pathway alignments are better aligned. So you could see, it might be kind of hard to see, but I'm going to hover my arrow over this yellow arrow pointing down. So our plan was to either have a pathway connection, which actually serves pretty well, or a street connection. I think either one would be satisfactory. And being that West Haven City plan is to align a pathway along the east edge of this property. So having some pedestrian access through and connecting up with a regional trail that's part of West Haven City's plan. I think it's a really good option for pedestrians. Okay, and so going on to the smart growth principles.
Felix, sorry, can I ask you a question?
Mhm.
It looks as though the true block length is greater than 800 feet because it just elbows to that side. So from through street to through street, it's over 800 feet.
Yes.
And so is your recommendation to put, a street through the middle of the project somewhere to meet that 800-foot block length?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is a good option, and so, it could be in the form of a pathway or a street. I think you would still be able to satisfy that connectivity aspect. But if you're looking at the strict requirement for 800 feet, you could locate it roughly in the middle or where that, east-west street.
Where the elbow is, instead of a pathway on either side, have a street come through?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay.
That would be a good a good comment to make, possibly in a recommendation if you're ready. And so let me go on to this next one then. Okay, so just looking at smart growth principles as well as some of the surrounding public amenities, some of the features that exist to serve this community in this location would be, and I've also included some distances. Because what we're looking for is opportunities for people to get outside, recreate, something that's close by where they can also attend school and things like that. So we've got the Windsor Farms Park, which is over in West Haven City, just hop, skip, and jump across the street, and maybe the church parking lot. And then you also have Staker Farms, which is down by the Canesville Elementary. And then the Weaver Fire Station, which is a little bit just northwest of this property. Cameron Village Park, which there's prospects for this open space in Cameron Village to become, like a local park. And so the Taylor Swift Parks District is in conversations with the developer to obtain that Cameron Village Park. So that is potential. It's not a sure thing yet. West Haven Trail, that's if you head eastward a little bit on 2550, you can hook up with their existing pathway that they have. So, and then Westwood High School, and so going on to the next slide, talking about water conservation. So, this proposal also includes a development agreement. And that development agreement would be mandatory in this circumstance, and it would be helpful to spell out some of the specifics that are required by the developer for various things. One of the things that it does touch on is water conservation. So the county planning office and the planning staff is looking to go above and beyond what our Weaver Basin is looking to implement. We would like to implement even more water conservation methods, which would require that each lot include when they're ready for a building permit, they include a landscape plan that's created by a landscape architect. But they also are able to reduce their water use by 50% of what was recommended by the Weaver Basin. And so it really puts a yearly cap on how much water they can use. And so as far as enforcement on how that cap would be enforced, a lot of it really comes down to the design phase, because if the landscaping is designed to conserve water and they can prove that those water saving strategies are being implemented by the design, then that'll go a long way. That it will alleviate some of the enforcement issues that could come further on down the line. Okay, and also talking about dark sky, a lot of these are related to some of the impacts. I mean, with growth and with residential, obviously less impacts than something more like manufacturing or commercial. But we still want to be able to reduce the impacts that you would find with, higher density, medium to large lot sizes. And dark sky comes into play in this regard because each home will be required to have the dark sky compliant lighting. And we have that written into the development agreement that the compliance is required. And we're also looking at emissions and air quality. As a result of creating these walkable communities, you give residents an opportunity to get outside and recreate, but also to use their bicycles or walk to school, things like that, where you don't necessarily have to hop in a car and create more emissions. And so in effect, that it does affect the air quality in that regard. And then also we're looking at renewable energy as an option. The development agreement does not have anything written into the development agreement as is, but that is something that we'd like to touch on with each proposal. If there's opportunity for renewable energy, that it is very highly encouraged.
Felix, can you stop for a minute? Folks, can I have your attention? You've asked us to speak up and we have. Now, can you please be courteous back and give us that same respect and listen to what's being presented? It's very distracting and you'll have your opportunity to talk when we open up the public hearing. Now, in the meantime, if you want to carry on a conversation, you can go out in the corridor and talk. So please give us your attention and your courtesy. Thank you. Felix, go ahead. Sir, I'm sorry. We've done everything we can to help that. So if you want to come closer where you can hear, come on up closer.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, so I'll continue with, this, the next slide is talking about just compatibility with the surroundings. You'll note that first image that we showed, the aerial imagery, it does show a lot of residential and some agriculture. Obviously, this density, of development is not exactly fitting with the area, but the residential does have minimal impacts and it does blend pretty well with the existing residential uses. And so we're also looking at the future land use map. So this image right here is also helpful to show some of the things that through staff's analysis and making comparisons, where exactly the property sits in relation to, medium to large lot planned areas and commercial and, mixed residential uses. You can see how this property, it mostly sits on the medium to large lot residential, but it also straddles some of that other land use options. And so I had a quick discussion with staff and also with the developer to see, are they interested in going to something that maybe they could do R3 on that, west edge, get a little more density. Maybe they could include some commercial elements on that west edge. But in this case, I think the developer was pleased with the option of going with just residential throughout. And this plan is actually taken from West Haven City. And so West Haven City, what they've done is they've just created a pretty abrupt land use change between agricultural zoning and commercial zoning along that corner. It does line up pretty well with this proposal, and it does line up pretty well with the Weber County general plan as well. So that fluorescent green would be, your large lot residential. And I should probably also mention too that I sent out a notice to West Haven City to indicate that there will be a public hearing, and I made a phone call over to West Haven City to see if they had any concerns. Maybe they wanted something for me to share with the planning commission. They didn't see any red flags with this proposal. And so if they're here, they're all also welcome to make comments on this proposal. So, but you can see how the location in relation to West Haven's plan would be right on the edge, of that commercial node there on the corner. But you'd also have some pathway opportunities along the Hooper Slope. And so I think it could be expected at some point that you would have some, pathway access to that alignment as well as, some, a street that crosses that and some pathway crossings for that public street system.
So what's indicated, go back to that for a second, please. So what's indicated in the turquoise, are those potential pathways? Is that what you're talking about?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you get down here to 3500 West, on the one that comes around the Hooper Slough and down along 2550 and then cuts across, is that right along 5100 West, or does that sit? Is this map somewhat accurate as to where that pathway will be?
It is. I mean, I think there are probably some generalities, but I would assume that on the the east side of 3500 West would be your pathway alignment.
Along the road?
Yeah, along the road. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Just a quick clarification, the blue lines are waterways, the green dashed lines are West Haven City's planned pathways. So similar, but a little different.
Yeah, thanks, Charlie. Okay, and so going on to some natural and ecological degradation. And so the developer has gone through some legwork early on, before he applied for this, in getting a wetlands delineation. And that was accepted by the Army Corps of Engineers. So some of that information is also included in that report that's available for public review. But so their plan would actually, you can actually see the wetlands delineation that was accepted by the Army Corps of Engineers was a couple of smaller wetlands there. And so it equates to about 0.08 acres of wetlands that would be, filled in with clean fill. Let's see. And there's also, this map is also helpful to see that there's a 20-foot canal preservation easement. And that has to do with because you've got that Hooper Slough Canal on that east edge. All right, so facilities and services. So the Taylor S. Weaver Water District will be giving culinary water, Hooper Irrigation Company for pressurized secondary water, and the Central Weaver Sewer District for the sewer connection. This map is helpful to see the alignment that the developer is looking to acquire. So through an easement agreement with the neighboring property owner, they're working to utilize this area to run the sewer. I'm not sure what other utilities would be run through this. From my understanding, it would just be the sewer in that line. And going on to staff's recommendation. So staff recommends approval of this request. What I put together is some model motions to approve as is with changes, to table, or to recommend denial. So my recommendation would be to move forward with a positive recommendation with changes. That gives us opportunity to include my recommendation, which would include a concept plan update to really show that, the Idaho Street connections that you guys wisely brought to light. So, and then there's also some staff recommendations in the report that should also be helpful to show that you have legitimate findings to make a recommendation. And that is all.
So just to sum that up, Felix, what we're looking at tonight is a rezone or a zoning change for this 14-acre potential development. We will see this again in the subdivision, if in fact it gets, a positive recommendation from planning commission and then is approved by the, commission, then we will see this project again at planning, or excuse me, at subdivision level, correct?
That's
Which
right.
we'll get into more detail as far as roads and density and, or what we can do as far as density goes and that kind of stuff, correct?
That's right.
Okay. Commissioners?
Sorry, aren't we limited? I mean, right now, we need to have enough specificity because we are limited at subdivision that we can, if it meets the code. And we don't have as much latitude if we don't specify it in our recommendation at the rezone. Otherwise, we'll be, when it gets to subdivision, really, we need to approve it if it meets the criteria, even if we're not happy with the criteria. So I do think there's a little bit more that we need to consider at this stage to make sure that that we have all the conditions we want met.
Right, agreed. And that's the motion with changes or potentially.
Yes, that's great. And you know, something else just came to mind, so, because Casey's point was very valid to mention that the issue with 30 lot maximum, you know, if they get to that 30 lot maximum, maybe they phase it out and they do 30 lots. If they want to exceed that, they need to show their emergency egress. And as of now, they're looking at the potential for that red dotted line to be their emergency egress if everything goes well with the agreement.
Felix, I have one more question for you, just to clarify and make sure. So this aligns with the general plan, other than the southwest corner, that little piece that would maybe should have been commercial, not maybe, but as far as the general plan is considered.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, one more question. Do we have any letters from water, sewer, or any feasibility letters?
Yes, I thought I added those in the report.
You might have. I haven't run across them
I
yet.
didn't run across them either.
Sure, I'm sorry, I forgot those, but we do have those.
All of them, water, sewer,
Yes,
those are the only ones we gave in this area.
water, sewer, and secondary water.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anything else for staff, commissioners? Charlie, do you have anything to add?
Oh, I think maybe we're hearing.
All right, thank you. All right, commissioners, the next step in the process is to open up a public hearing, so I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Second. All in favor of opening a public hearing? Aye. Opposed? We are now in public hearing. Please come to the podium, give your comments 3 minutes or less, give your name and address, and tell us what you think.
I'll start and I'll try to speak loud so I can hear myself. So my name's Craig Frederickson. I live at 2380 South, 3500 West. I'm also the son of the woman, my mom, which is the Frederickson Family Trust, which is the property adjacent to the north end of the proposed area. Now Scott has been very good in including us in some information, and I want to thank him for that. He's been very helpful, but there are a couple of flaws with this design as I see it. The biggest one is if the sewer comes in from 2550, it means the property line, as I understand it, has to have quite a bit of slope so that the buildings on that end adjacent to my mom's property will have to be fairly high, which means it'll be quite difficult to, if that property of my mother's is ever developed, to hook to that sewer line. Now, I think he's got some ideas on how to solve that, and we don't necessarily impose this, but I just wanted the county to be aware that this is not a perfect plan at this point. There are some flaws, because the best access to do the sewer line is gonna be through my mom's property on, you can see the plat, I'll show it to you, but you guys have probably already seen it and understand where that is. So just be aware that there are some issues that have not been resolved yet. Thank you.
Thank you. So that's the red dash line, Charlie. You brought up.
Yeah, the one east-west, and the flag lot looking, parcel to the north of this.
Okay, very good, thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, Mac McCullough, My address is 3477 West, 2550 South. So we're right on the corner. Right there, and so our concerns are this, having listened to what he said. So if you notice where our property is right there, we're the only corner lot on that side. We've already given up. So with Westfield being built, the new middle school being built, our property line has been reduced, right? Weaver County needed it. The infrastructure couldn't handle it. And you'll know where my property line is because they call our house Dead Man's Corner. If you're from Taylor, you know that. It's where all the accidents happened until they got the stop signs put in. And so now that's been mediated to some degree. But right now, as we sit right now, that every day, on any given day, we are 40 cars deep. 40 cars deep coming from the north and coming east going west from where we sit. So we've already given up on both sides for 3,500 and 2,550. Our concern is that we're gonna be asked to give up more, right? Because the infrastructure is just gonna grow. More people are just gonna move out there. And then we don't understand as people, we look to purchase that property as well. And I don't understand, and I'll have to read through this, I guess, a little more completely. We were told that there were 6 of those 14 acres that were unbuildable because of the water table. That was the exact term, unbuildable. So you can't use that. And I understand they say, oh, we're gonna, remove it, bring in new soil. Well, they said the same thing to the folks to the south of us where the new subdivision is, and they've already got water leakage with the rain we have, the flooding. It's still, like last night, it was happening. So we're not big believers in that you can stop Mother Nature. And so I'd like to find out or hear from them, or I guess from you guys, my wife and I would like to know, how do we, as property owners in Taylor, who are giving up things already in the name of growth, how do we stop that? Because we moved to Taylor to be away from that to some degree. And I hear that, it could be as few as 30 or as many as 40. And if you're already 25 to 40 cars deep now, you add 2-car garages, potentially that's 80 more drivers on that road every day. And that's kids going to school, to and from the middle school to the high school. So I hope I'm making myself clear. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Yeah, so that's our biggest concern because we are directly affected by that. All of us that are less than or 500 feet away from that. Is that fair? Okay, I'll do myself. Thank you.
Just one more thing I want to add. I've lived out there for, I don't know, since I was in 5th grade. Jeff Atkinson and I used to canoe on that property. I mean, it was wet. Now, it's not like that nowadays, but that property has a lot of wetness in its history, for what it's worth.
James Trimble, I own the farm to the east. Above that red line there where the canal goes through. I have cattle down on that land down here. And I'm worried about getting my water cut off. How am I gonna water the cattle if they develop all this stuff? I rely on that Hooper slough going through there to water cattle. And I don't understand this walkway stuff because they're not gonna cut across my farm with a walkway. I don't understand what their deal is on that. It's still a working farm. But my main concern is that lower pasture of the water. Even Jeff uses the water out of that ditch. And we're just concerned about getting our water cut off. Cause we put about 15 head of cows on it, 11 acres there every summer. And it's like this last gentleman said about the traffic. It's a nightmare getting out on 2550 and you're gonna add all these more houses down there. And it just doesn't make any sense. And you can see in that picture where the slough used to go across. It's flooded right now. You can drive out there right now and it's underwater. So I don't understand how they can say that this is not a wetland. Otherwise, we would have had a pasture there by now. Somebody would have been farming. You can't even put cattle on it because of the water. So I got to say.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Sheila Richards and I own just the 5 acre parcel up on the east. In between those two, there's 3 parcels there and I have the center and my concern is just the water as well. And Steve Hart, who owns the property next to me, he boards horses there, that's his business. And if for some reason that water got shut off, that's the water that he utilizes as well. And I pump from that slough as well. So if that slough went away somehow, although that Mr. Hart said he would have to close his business. And so he has quite a large boarding business out there. And we had a boarding business for a while. We don't have one anymore. But that water that comes on that slough is very important to us. So we would just want to make sure that that isn't cut off in any way.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jill McCullough. Our address is 3477 West 2550 South on the corner. And I was just curious, everything that was referenced seemed to be referenced to West Haven's future plans, West Haven's this, West Haven's that. But is that considered West Haven? Because everything around that is not West Haven. It's Taylor. And there's a reason we left Ogden and don't live in downtown Ogden anymore. And we lived in Taylor because Taylor has large lots. Everybody has space. Everybody has animals. Some people board animals, all these things. You know, this is not the right property for Taylor. This fits in West Haven. That's what they're doing. But Taylor is families who want space, who don't want to be hearing everybody's this and that. That's why we left those areas. And so I'm curious to see, like, I know they were trying to say it fits, but it truly doesn't. I mean, they said that they gave notice to people in a 500-mile radius, or 500 feet radius. So you have to take into consideration. I thought there was going to be a lot more of our neighbors here, but there were probably very few people actually notified because 500 feet does not go very far. It probably went to my corner. Like, it's not that type of density there. Everybody has large lots. And so something like this, in my opinion, doesn't fit here because that's not what Taylor is. We don't have these patio home spaces. So that's my feedback for that.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Can we ask him questions?
On up and ask questions. No, you have to come up. Sorry.
Hold mic for you.
We have one.
I'm coming. Oh, they don't set glasses. I appreciate that she said, I'm Linda Rhodes at 2468 South, 3500 West. I appreciate that she said Taylor. Everything we're getting thrown is West Haven. We aren't annexed into West Haven yet. I'm looking at how many houses they want to put on this slough. This was a slough from forever ago, and if you go out there today, I guarantee you it's underwater. Every one of their little 12 perk holes is going to be full of water. And the geese are coming in today because there's so much water out there. And to see the density that he wants to put on there is ridiculous. We already, yeah, they got approval from the Hooper Irrigation Company to get water in. That company has cut our water down to nothing. We all had come to it a while ago, or not all of us, but some of us. And they already would get 2 months of irrigation water because there isn't enough to have. And last year I had to call them, ask if I could keep my fruit trees alive. This is ridiculous to put that kind of density in there. I realize this young man probably thinks he can go in there and bring in 4 or 5 feet of dirt Is that what the plan is?
You can state your question, but he doesn't have to respond right now. If we wanna follow up with it, we can. Yeah.
We'll follow up with the questions.
Yeah.
So they're gonna raise this up, and so the fields and the water's going to have to go somewhere, because this land is saturated out there. My place today have got huge puddles all over the place, and I'm used to it. I've been up there 42 years, 43 years. But I just think it's ridiculous to think that it's going to be, and when they said patio homes to me are for senior citizens, not that we're gonna have 5,000 kids and dogs and everything out here running around and using these parks that have been made at other subdivisions. They aren't specific for this one. And again, trails, I don't want people wandering around my place all the time. And I know that it doesn't matter to you guys. I don't know where you all live, but I think he's just going way too dense. I mean, that's ridiculous. You have to have two roads, one coming in, one going out, two roads for access. I just sold some property in Pleasant View, and the guy couldn't build on it because there weren't two roads going out of it. And you have to have two roads, and to put the sewer that he says is all okay, West Haven will not let them hook up to the sewer system on 2550. And so that's why they have this little dotted line. They think they can go in there and put the sewer down through people's property to get the access to it. That to me is not a very clear plan that they have going on. The people that I live in amongst are the greatest people on earth. They're very kind, they're very loving, and they're going to try to accommodate everybody. But this is crazy to put that many places on that little tiny bit of property. And especially like today, you take the engineers out there and they're not gonna find a dry hole on it. And that's just from one little storm. I got pictures on my phone of the kids out there canoeing when we have a normal winter. I don't think that this has had much thought put into it. And to say that they've got all this set up, I don't think, I can't ask the question, right?
No, you can ask, we just don't want any sidebar conversations, so that we just keep it civil and in order, that's all.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can state any question, we write it down, and then we ask the developer after.
Oh, okay. Has West Haven said that you could hook up to the sewer? Why is West Haven involved other than they do have the sewer line down 2550 to the corner of 2500 or to 3500. And so 2550 is West Haven's, and then we have the other sewer going down 3500 that they want to hook into. And I like she said, it is not West Haven yet. And we realize that people can squish out whatever they want, but hopefully it stays Taylor for a while.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Shirley Atkinson. I live at 2448 South, 3500 West. And it's myself and Melba back there, but the sewer easement on that north side is gonna come through. And my concern would be, I'm not as concerned about the sewer, just to be a good neighbor, but it can never be a road. And so if we say yes to the sewer, what I don't know is eventually will it be a road? It's just my neighbor's house. And we're not facing the right direction for it to be a road. It's typically in the past, it's been a garden spot. You know, it's what I walk across to just go to her house, 20, 30 feet away. So for me, my wish would be that it would never be a road. But I don't know if we say yes to the sewer, if eventually it will become a road, if somehow we've let that in. So I don't mind being good neighbors, and my husband's been the one that's talked to him about it. And we want to be good neighbors, but it just can't be a road on that side. come between our homes. That would be my wish. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
All under peer pressure right now.
I'm Card Ferguson, and we live at 2380 South, 3500 West. And it's my mom's property that we're gonna have that easement through. My question and my concern is you're saying they need to have two, they have to have an entrance and an exit. They need to have two roads coming in and out. Is that road between our houses going to become that second road? I don't wanna see that happen.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, commissioners, I'll take a motion to adjourn from public hearing.
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. We are now out of public hearing, so now we'd like to hear from the developer and staff, answer some of the questions and concerns that we've heard. And I think a good place to start is with the sewer, the potential of an egress for a secondary access or a secondary egress. And then we can go from there.
Chair, is it okay before we have it go, can we answer a few of these concerns? Just as, I think sometimes it sounds better coming from us than the developer telling them what things are to get clarification from the director, is that okay?
Sure.
So, there's just a few things. One thing I wanted to make, you all understand is you didn't know where we live. We're all your neighbors in some form or another. Some of us really close to this, me, myself, and some a little bit further away, but we're all pretty close within there. That's why we're up here, is because we are your neighbors. Some of the things I just wanted to hit really quick, just to maybe save the developer some time, having to explain it, and the rest of us, and Charlie and Liam, please correct me if I'm wrong on any of these, but nobody can ever be denied their water. Okay, that if you have water rights, you can't get denied that. So nobody can cut off your water. The developer has to work with you to get you your water through whatever changes they make. The other thing, nobody can just get water. That if the developer or whoever the applicant may be, in any case, is wanting water for development, they have to buy water shares. So they're not just creating that water out of nowhere. That they have to have the water shares that already exist. Am I correct so far?
Keep going.
Okay. Let's see, as far as the sewer goes, becoming a road, as far as my understanding, that wouldn't be able to become a road. If you're allowing them that easement for sewer, you're allowing an easement for sewer. You would have to, as the landowner, would have to allow them to have road. Correct? Okay. So you get to determine that as the property owner. That is you that gets to decide that. So hopefully that gives you some comfort. Let me see. I had a lot of notes. I want to make sure I'm hitting all of them. I do understand, sorry, Mac, I can't remember your last name, but I know you as Mac, just as a neighbor. But his concern with the congestion, I get that. Like, there's a lot, and you're gonna have a lot more, because you got Ogden Clinic coming across the street from you on the other corner. So it's gonna be developed, or I should say proposed Ogden Clinic is what the rumors are, right? Even from them themselves. But, yeah, it's gonna get crazy. And we literally just had a work session talking about infrastructure and all those things and having to address that, with those concerns. So that is noted. You're not the only one with that concern. We are concerned about all that as well. So hopefully that gives you some comfort knowing that. And the walkways, I want to address that with Mr. Turnbow, is that right? True. So as far as that, that's just future. One of our main goals is to make sure that we are providing connectivity for anything in the future, so that we're planning correctly and not having things where we end up with not having the trail or the road where it should have been in the first place, and we're second guessing what happened 20, 30 years ago, which is what we do in a lot of things because of poor planning beforehand. So those aren't saying that those are gonna go through there right now. That's just what's suggested, so that if you ever decide to develop your property, it'll already be in there. You would never have to, you're never forced to. It's not gonna be there unless you want it there yourself as the property owner. Okay, sorry. Hopefully that was enough.
You make my job easy.
Thank you, Commissioner. Appreciate that very much. Yeah, see, did you Address, ingress and egress.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, that's a concern of mine as well, as far as the number of lots that can go in there. The developer on any property, they can only have up to 30 lots if they only have one egress and ingress. Sorry, I'm not even saying that right.
One access point.
One access point. Thank you for the country boy. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes, so even if we say that this could be zoned for that and change the zoning, they still wouldn't be allowed any more of that unless this developer comes up with another entrance point, exit point. Okay, all right. Thanks. Did I clarify enough?
Sure.
Thank you. Okay.
Commissioners, anything else to add?
Well, maybe to address why we're talking so much about West Haven City. Because they do have an annexation plan, we look to what their plans are for that city. And I think, Charlie, you could probably discuss the process more, but this is Taylor, and the unincorporated county is not meant to exist with this, even with the density it has right now, just you folks here. That is really what the county, that's not what the county exists for. And so as a county, we like as things get more dense, we want them to go to the incorporated cities that are larger. Now, Charlie can talk about how that process happens, but really, we right now have the jurisdiction, but the idea is that all of the county, as it grows, should go into incorporated areas. So.
That's right, very well stated. When we created the general plan, one of the reasons why Felix was talking about this project conforming, using those words conforming, he's saying it's conforming with the adopted general plan that was adopted in 2022. In other words, in 2022, the county has already created a plan that predetermined that there should be growth that occurs in the area. But if you read the general plan, it says there should be growth in the area because it's going to happen by virtue of the market anyway. We see it everywhere. We see it pushing out from the edges of the cities into unincorporated areas in every county on the Wasatch Front. It's a force to be reckoned with, and if we don't reckon with it in a well-planned way, it's going to happen to us, not with us. So that's really important. When we look at these planning documents, when we created the 2022 general plan, we created the planning for this area based off of what we saw in the West Haven plan. Now, if you look at it, they're not apples to apples. West Haven shows a C1, potential C1 future zoning. We're showing perhaps a mixture of opportunities between commercial housing and whatnot. We've heard clearly from West Haven that they'd rather just see maybe grocery store opportunities or maybe dog and clinic or something like that as opposed to mixed use. That's wonderful. That's going to be their prerogative when they choose to annex the property and when landowners choose to be annexed in. But we want to make sure that we're not carving out radically different uses than what they've already pre-planned. And we do that with all of our border cities, so that we are providing comprehensive planning because these boundaries will move. If you look at the city boundaries over there now, it's a jigsaw puzzle. It won't be a jigsaw puzzle forever.
Sorry, Charlie and Chair, one more thing to add. If you look at this area, I don't know how many of you have lived in that area for generations, but generations ago, they didn't have 5-acre lots. They had 100-acre lots. They had very large lots. But as they've gotten smaller and smaller, it's become more dense. And where you are situated right next to the growth, naturally that's where landowners want to sell. And right now, nobody can afford that 5-acre lot. And so what it's turning into are patio homes, or 30-acre lots. And there are areas that are experiencing higher density. Here, we're looking at less. And when I hear that the density sounds crazy at 30-acre lots, right now, 30-acre lots are $1 million properties. And I don't know how many of you are $1 million into your property. Some of you may be, but it's just not feasible to continue with, just like it isn't feasible for each one of you to own 100-acre lots. It's not feasible for people to be able to buy 5-acre lots. So unfortunately, you're close to the border, you're close to the growth, and it's inevitable, and it's driven by your neighbors that sell their property, not by us. We're just trying to manage it and figure out how to limit the impacts of that growth in a fair manner. And it's never what everyone wants. And then it's frustrating and that you all have valid concerns, but I just wanted to kind of state that's the nature of the beast we're dealing with.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any other thoughts? Okay, so I think we still probably should hear from the developer, give us some input. I think a lot of concerns may have been dealt with, but I mean, give some idea of what you might be doing with, the elevation of that property, mitigation of, I've lived out there all my life. I know what happens on that corner. We talked about it in work sessions, previous to this meeting, so.
Yep, we did.
Go ahead, start there.
Yeah, I mean, the water wasn't something that was touched on. I spent 2 whole seasons, kind of addressing the water, studying it. We had an outfit come in. It's an environmental outfit that specializes in wetlands and, specifically delineating wetlands. Working with them, we dug a lot of test holes. They did studies on the ground where there's 3 specific things that land needs to have in order to be considered a wetland. I'm not an expert on it, but a couple of those are wetland vegetation, soil hydrology, and there's one more. I apologize, I can't remember what it is. When we first did our kind of initial testing in there, there was very little of that. All 3 of those being shown. There was a comment, about not being able to compete with Mother Nature. Well, these lines here on this map, Mother Nature did not create those lines, we did. That being said, there's nothing about this property that's any different than any of the surrounding properties, except that for years and years and years, it's been the lowest point over there. We watched it happen for 2 whole seasons. Of water from the surrounding land has drained onto that property for years and years. We did a little bit of work. We worked with the landowner to the north, that canal there, we dredged that out. Which kind of helped me and helped them at the same time. I went ahead and brought machines in and paid to do that. And I understand it's early in the season, it is wet, so, all the residual surface water runs downhill and it all kind of does collect there. However, during the slightly drier times of year, once we, fixed that canal, that took care of quite a few of the water problems. Via the, recommendation of the environmental experts, that was their finding as well. I mean, it's pretty obvious, it's a low spot. We bring that up to match the elevation of the rest of it, and the surface water still needs somewhere to go. Nonetheless, that particular spot right there is just the lowest. That being said as well, I believe there was a comment about water table. Water table within those red lines is no higher or lower than the water table of the surrounding areas there. Property boundaries do not dictate water table. They don't dictate which property is wetter than the other. It's just simply a low spot there. As far as the easement goes and stuff, I hope I was clear, with you guys when we spoke. I in no way am trying to force anybody into anything, or I'm not trying to force a road in there or anything like that. My aim is, and partially through kind of recommendations from from what I've heard from the county, just an overall design. We did kind of touch on elevation there too. If we do come in on 2550 with the sewer, we ran some calculations with the engineer. By the time we get sewer all the way to the north end of that property, it won't need to be extremely high by any means, but anything beyond that will be kind of maxed out at the sewer elevation. Anything north of that will probably would not be able to connect to it. Just for an overall design standpoint, for the benefit of future development of that area. we kind of thought it would just be nice to bring in the sewer from there. It'll also lower down that north side of the property there, have the higher side being, the side close to 2450 on the south end of the property. That being said, that south end of the property is significantly lower than 2550 that it's come up anyway. So, that was kind of my reasoning beyond for bringing in the sewer there. To have a utility easement there, we would need to create a road, just a road-based road. It would be still property, it's owned by the property owner there. We're just proposing easement, so it'd be used by the appropriate, for example, for the sewer, it would be the, sewer district that could access it for reasoning of maintenance. We'd have to create a road-based road for the utility.
Can I interrupt for you just a minute? Sorry. For the purpose of the recording, we need to talk in the background.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And for the purpose of decorum, just to keep things working the way the meeting's supposed to work. If you direct your comments to the commission, you can answer the questions, answer them to the agents.
Yeah, no problem at all. Appreciate that. So yeah, for the reasoning of, utility maintenance, we'd have to put a road-based road. I think it was a 20-foot wide road-based road. I'm not 100% sure on that. That being said, since that was going to be in there anyway, I just had, discussed, opened a line of communication about possibly having a backup, fire emergency egress there. I just want to clarify that would not be an actual street road, public road of any kind. It would be an easement that could only be used by the people that were written into the easement, which in this case would be fire and sewer. And I also did want to clarify, if we're bringing in sewer there, I was also planning on bringing in pressurized secondary hooper irrigation. I didn't see any reason to cut up 2550 just for that, if we could bring them both in on that. So again, it's just an open line of communication as of right now. But yeah.
Just to reiterate, as a landowner, you get to determine whether you agree to that or not.
Yeah. So now I've got another question on the slough. Sounds like there's some water use from the water from the slough. Has it been determined, is there any ownership of the water rights to that slough? And if there is, whose are they? And I'm throwing this out just because it came up. Water can be a real big issue in a real big hurry. So I would say that that's something that if it hasn't been explored, needs to be explored. I mean, I know that you're going to be able to provide irrigation water from Hooper Irrigation as a secondary source. That's good. You probably buy your shares or in the process of it. But at the same time, if there's use from the water of that slough, who controls it? And I don't necessarily need to know that now. But that needs to be determined.
So are we're talking about the slough along the eastern boundary?
Yeah.
Being used currently for livestock is good.
It looks like we've had a couple of people that said that they have use of that water. So,
yeah, I mean, we can definitely determine all that. I mean, in that delineation map that Felix put up there, it did show a 20-foot buffer, from that slough. We don't plan on in any way modifying and or filling in or destroying in any way that slough. But if I'm being honest, that slough and the one on the north is, stuff that probably should be explored even more, just to make sure. I had, assumed we would explore that more in kind of the subdivision design phase. So.
Sure. Okay. Just wanted to make sure that it was addressed. I'm just looking through my notes to see if there's anything else. So, traffic. I'm presuming, you've got your one main egress off of 2550 South. Charlie, Felix, is there any additional, that facility down to 3500 West has been improved to what is it, a 100-foot facility now?
80 foot is my understanding. The plan is long-term plan. I don't think we're coming for the front yards or side yards anytime soon. Long-term plans.
Okay, so there probably needs to be some improvement, some asphalt improvement out along 2550. In addition to what the county's already done.
Yep, so at the very least, we'd be looking, because they are increasing the density of the area, especially at the base build out of what the general plan would suggest. We want to make sure that the facilities that are needed to serve the community are installed upfront by the developer. That way the taxpayers don't have to pay for it after everyone else sells their properties and everything else goes to third acre lots, assuming if that ever does happen. And so we'd be looking for 2550 is slated to have a pathway or instead of a sidewalk, it'd be more of a community pathway, asphalt pathway that's set back from the lane of travel. We'd ask the applicant to install his portion of that, and then we work with neighboring landowners in the future, should they ever decide to allow a pathway across their property or to sell to a developer to do the same thing. So we've got that, and we've got, if we don't have curbing gutter there, we'll be looking for curbing gutter and drainage facilities from this applicant. They'll need to bring it to full county standard. I know a lot of that has been done in the past. West Haven did those improvements all the way up to 3,500. But I don't know how much more is going to be needed. We will make sure that his frontage meets full county standard. It may look silly because neighboring properties might have or it may look like their fences go a little bit further out in that right of way. What is further back, but give it 10 to 20 years when everyone changes their mind about their real estate values, we'll see connectivity on a grander scale where things look like they'll match up.
Okay. And the other concern I have and still have and will always have is the elevation of that property, the surface water that it gathers. And, you know, we talked about that a lot through all the comments that we got. And but also, again, knowing that area, knowing what it gathers up, I mean, you gave an explanation of water table. Well, okay, water table, you have to dig for. You're talking about surface water. And so I'm, you know, still concerned. And I guess my question would be to staff and to yourself, has the county engineer looked at any of your plans or anything that you're wanting to do at this, up to this point?
As of right now, I've only been in contact with planning.
Okay. Charlie and Felix, has there been any further discussion within the county?
Now, the science side of this is a policy question today. The science side of this question of development is all going to have to be fleshed out when they come in for subdivision, including water table drainage, what's going to happen with the slough, if they do inhibit any kind of flow or whatever. All of that, they will need to show that they are mitigating any detrimental effect they have on surrounding property.
I redundantly asked the question so the folks that are here with the concerns that they have understand that there is a process for all of this. It kind of adds on to what, you know, comments were from the commissioners. So there is a process to mitigate it, and the county engineer will make sure that this is engineered to his satisfaction. There is more of this public process that will happen. You know, this is the rezoning phase of this. If this happens to go through, there's still many meetings for everybody to attend and give their comments and concerns and their questions for not just at this level. This will go, it'll either go or it won't go as far as the rezone. And again, it has to go to the commission for final approval. But then the process, I'm going to say, kind of starts over again. Then you start looking at the finer details at what's called the subdivision level. And there's code that dictates all of that as well. In fact, that code is probably much more stringent than what it takes to get a rezone. So the rezone is to satisfy the requirement of the general plan, Charlie, correct? And the general plan's been in effect since 2022. We have allowances in that for the R115 zone, which is being requested. So,
Mr. Chairman, just to conceptualize exactly what you're saying, the general plan is 50 pages long, the zoning ordinance is almost 600 pages long. And they gotta meet every aspect of that zoning ordinance, and that doesn't count the number of pages that are in our adopted engineering standards. A lot more to come with this.
thank you, I'll have to remember this. 50 to 600, that's a pretty strong ratio. Okay. So having said that, commissioners, is there any questions or comments?
I have one question.
Yes.
You said patio homes, are you planning on an age restriction?
No.
Commissioners, anything else?
So, Mr. Wynn, if I heard you right, where that red dotted line is up there on 3,500, that, if you put the sewer down there, in the future, that will be able to service all the property owners surrounding.
Theoretically, yeah.
More so than if it was on 25.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else, commissioners? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So,
Can I make a suggestion?
you certainly can.
I am not opposed to the general idea that's been presented to us, but I personally would feel more comfortable if we had a few more answers. This was shown to us a month ago or so in concept, and it hasn't changed since then. So I'm a little concerned about moving forward. I'm not saying denying, but I personally would be in favor of tabling this so that we could have the actual concept plan. I get concerned right now what we're seeing is a lot of development and that's changing hands into resold to builders. And so at the rezone stage, I like to see more clarity so that that clarity is transferred to the builder. So that the builder doesn't come later without all of the understanding. Also, I'd like to see it phased out if there is no secondary access. I don't want to zone a property saying you can theoretically build 40 homes for a builder to come in and find out really they can only build 30. So it just details I think would be beneficial moving forward. So I'm not saying no, I'm just saying I want it sussed out a little bit more.
Commissioners, any comments on that?
Or clarifying question for Commissioner Wicker. So for me, I don't disagree as far as I'd like to see that stuff at the beginning. But I also understand that even if we had him do that or had this developer do that, come back, he could propose something different and it could still change when it comes back again. Like he wouldn't be held to that. They can change their plan at any time during the subdivision phase. Is that correct, Charlie?
No.
There is limited ability to change the plan. So the way these development agreements work, and it's written right in the template development agreement, that everybody understands, the county understands, the property owner understands that these are conceptual in nature. But what is it about the concept of that is or is not being adopted is actually applicable and can't be deviated. What we show in our development agreements is general street layouts, general pathway layouts. That's the backbone. That's the important part. How the lots are shaped and configured is less important to us. So yes, later on down the road, the configuration of lots could change. Maybe the roads move a couple feet here and there, but the general configuration should look the same. And so if you had a concept plan that reflected what you were comfortable with, or a general configuration, minor adjustments can happen, but they would be able to do a full overhaul without coming back and amending the development agreement.
Okay, great. Okay. Anything else, commissioners? Okay, hearing none, I'll ask for a motion.
Chair, I motion that we table files number VMA 2026-02, an application to rezone approximately 14 acres of land located approximately 3300 west, 2550 south from the A1 zone to the R115 zone. I recommend that we table this item until the concept plan is agreeable to staff and the access for the appropriate amount of rezoned lots is provided or is planned for. Yeah, I think that's all the main things there.
commissioners. Let's see. Liam, can we have a discussion here, or do we gotta have a second first?
No, you can hold off on the second if there needs to be a discussion.
Okay, commissioners, do you, any discussion on that motion? Because I know sometimes we have some other thoughts. So,
I'm open to ideas on that.
okay, so as much as I hate to table things, and I really do, I don't know very often that it adds value. I am a little concerned about this particular development. I think that everybody has the right intentions that are in the room tonight. I think that there's a lot of room for a lot of things to be worked out. I'm not seeing a few things, you know, where the pathway is gonna be or where a stub road might be to make that walk rate you mentioned earlier. And that's a little bit concerning to me, and I'd like to make sure, you know, to your concern, I concur that, you know, maybe it'd be better to have a little bit more refined look at this development at this phase. And the other concern is shared also, and that is, what does this look like if it's a 30 versus a 40 or 39 lot subdivision? So there's my 2 cents worth. Commissioners, anything else?
You know, I don't know if we're at the right stage to have him bring a full-blown plan without the zoning. Perhaps the whole community would be better served if the zoning came in and then the engineering came in to back it up.
Anything else, commissioners? Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
Okay. Okay.
I do think knowing how many lots we can have is important.
Well, I think we're bound on, if there's only one ingress, our code won't go over 30.
Right.
Period.
But I guess what
We know what we're having.
right.
It's just because there's a few more lines on the paper, it's not gonna get it.
And I think what
Am I right, Charlie?
Yeah, we don't apply any modifications to those standards in the development agreement. If there isn't a second egress, he's gonna get 30. If he finds a second egress, he might get 40 or whatever those numbers are.
39.
Right, and
so then what that begs is the question of what happens to the lot sizes? Do we make the lot sizes larger? Do we reconfigure to accordingly to make, you know, to make that happen? And that's where it almost like, to me, I kind of agree that I'd like to have eyes on both options just in case it goes one way or the other. So that's my opinion. Commissioners, anything else to add? Hearing none, I'll ask for a second to the motion that was presented.
Second.
Okay. Commissioner Lindsay.
Aye.
Commissioner Wicker.
Aye.
Commissioner Neville.
Aye.
Commissioner Florence.
Aye.
Commissioner McCormick.
Nay.
Chair votes aye. Motion carries 5-1. Thank you, everybody, for coming out and giving us your thoughts and your questions. I'm sorry that the audio is not better in here. I apologize. I know it's hard to hear. Maybe if we pay a little more tax, the county can update the system a little. I don't know.
Sure. Chair, as just a courtesy for the public, would you mind just telling them what happens after a motion is tabled? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, what will happen now that it's tabled is this will come back as soon as the questions that were asked in the motion are answered. There will not be another public hearing, but it will come back to us with that information and go through an administrative process, and it will be voted on again, just like it was tonight.
And Mr. Chairman, if I can add, despite the fact that the public hearing is done, anyone who's got additional need for clarifications, questions, Felix is available to meet with them in the interim, just to make sure that we've got their concerns taken care of. We know that the concern about density is one thing, but we want to make sure if density happens, that we're taking care of the neighbors.
And I think that the reputation of this builder and seeing how they're not throwing, you know, things at each other, it sounds like to me that there's a pretty good rapport, better than any rapport we've probably seen here between the developer and the community. So thank you for that, and hopefully you can work with that. And the reputation of the builder, I think is pretty high. I think he's a pretty reputable organization. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate your input on all of this tonight. Okay. Having said that, the next item on our agenda is public comment for items not on tonight's agenda. Yeah. Classes excused, yes. Okay, seeing none. Remarks from planning commissioners. Anybody got any thoughts they want to share? Don't forget Liam. Well, I'll get to Liam in a minute. Thank you, Jen. Okay, Director Ewart. You know, that has a nice ring to it.
Give me 12 months, we'll see what happens. Just kidding. I'm not gonna offer it anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's a great loss.
Great director too. We're not trying to force Rick to work. Just, you know.
Happy to have him here most of the time. Concerned about the audio, I wanted to let you guys know, just a brief update without making any promises. It does look like there is positive motion towards a pretty big overhaul of this building. The studies have been done, the architects are doing their designs, they're working on how to make the logistics work, and they're just trying to work out the kinks on budget. That'll determine whether or not the building is redesigned, which would include upgrades.
Hopefully it would include some soundproof windows on the outside as well.
And some heat.
Yeah.
After hours. Or air conditioning,
Whatever would be a little friendlier and friendlier stuff. Well, great, thanks, Charlie. Appreciate that. Anything else?
No, that's what I got. Thank you.
Okay, let's see now. Liam.
Man, expectation. I feel like I've got nothing to say. Yeah.
Not even a good job or something like that.
It was pretty good.
We'll take it.
I don't know. Sarah just cost us another meeting. Well, I know. Month. Okay, on that, I'll ask for motion to adjourn to our work session. Second? All in favor? Aye.
Sal, how's it going?
You good?
Yeah, just back in the office yesterday. I was glad to see everything get on the agenda.
I am too. Thanks.
When somebody said there's a work session, like, I didn't know everything. So glad to see it's all.
Well, hopefully this is, promise to keep it short.
No worries. You do what you need to do.
Well, what I need to do is keep it short, keep my word.
What's his, Aaron texted me and said he's got some ideas about potential fairground locations. I didn't get the text until I got back from vacation, and so he probably thinks I'm just ignoring him, but.
No, that's,
let him know if I remember tomorrow, I'm gonna break it down.
that's a proposal for,
For what?
Loman View.
Oh, that would be a fantastic location.
Yeah, so we wanted to.
I'm not a baker, just gonna be a little hard though.
Well, we figured we'd get creative to see. To start the discussion.
Okay, awesome. No, that's great.
So.
That'd be an awesome way. We've talked a little bit about the neighbor property as well.
Yeah.
See if anything can happen with that one, with the,
You know.
what's the name?
So you better brought something good tonight, cause I'm on the edge.
I'm not getting any.
I didn't bring any food, I didn't bring anything.
Right there, he's got
You better have something good, Selvoy.
So like cooking and stuff. Hey, this just means you make up for it in punching power, right? I feel like it's when I fall down.
Yeah.
That's true.
Am I allowed to bring stuff, Andrew?
You allowed to break stuff or bring stuff?
Bring stuff.
Yeah. This stuff? Yeah.
No, like the food. Like,
You don't need to say something here.
I mean, I'll be. That's what Ted's job, I was gonna say stuff there too, and I thought, oh.
That's true.
Oh.
How about our, how about our skiing glass?
That's how much Christmas.
Okay. If it takes you that long, wow.
Oh, yeah. Please.
So are those your cows over there?
Over.
That's my
You're welcome. I don't think there was.
Oh, because there's clearly some people that don't quite,
That don't what?
that don't quite
Yeah, Andrew?
get it.
Yes, sir.
They don't want.
What are you having today?
Well, there's some road things, but I'm wondering.
Yeah.
I'm worried about that. I'm worried about how many people have forgotten what did
Well,
No.
I think we're gonna have to put in as well.
That is good.
With the outreach and stuff as we did before.
I hope not.
We've got a lot of people that have moved out there.
I really didn't like it that much. But
I moved out there because of how it is, not how it's gonna be.
Yeah.
It's a nice game.
Sure. Sure. Every once in a while, I've got to have something.
Nobody thinks about it. We're just single-minded.
I mean, no.
Right.
You know this is coming. You know, people move, people expand.
Yeah, I kind of liken it to seeing your nieces and nephews. You see them every so often, and sometimes there's a big change between those guys, and you go, whoa, I didn't know you were gonna grow up.
I know.
I didn't know there's gonna be a change here.
But you go,
Thank you.
well, what did you expect? You know, I didn't expect that many people from that area.
I didn't either.
I really didn't. I have a question on that. They mentioned like the 500 feet of notice for people 500 feet, like. Matt didn't probably do the math, right? But like,
We did.
she's gotta be pretty, I mean, there can't be that many. She's gotta be pretty close. Not that many people. That's got a pretty high percentage
Yeah.
of people that showed up.
You know,
Yep, good turnout.
I hate that as an excuse. I really do.
Which part? We didn't get the notice or, yeah, oh, me too. You're here.
All you gotta do,
Means you're
just
not
make the
participating.
mistake of putting your email address on the Utah notification website, and you're screwed.
Yep, you get all of your
fault.
Yep. My favorite is when they're in the hearing and their comment is, I think you noticed for this meeting. But you're here.
I moved there because.
I actually had a friend that was an attorney who was in counsel and sent a bunch of witnesses home from the judge because the notice hadn't been done properly. And then the judge was like, but they're here. Attorney got big trouble.
Yeah, my notices work. I said, if you show up, there's $20 before we wait.
In fact, you know,
I used to want
2% reduction in your taxes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's good.
that was my thing.
That's what everything else.
Well,
You know,
I didn't see that.
He did, he told me last.
Did you see that?
Right, 30, right. He should.
It's been
Yeah,
everywhere.
he should.
I'm not worried.
But he wanted to.
So you guys are doing.
Willow, he had got it handled.
I know, I think that she-
They do. I don't lack faith in them being able to perform.
Some salt and vinegar bill over here.
They're Sarah's neighbors, just so.
I know.
When? They're up there in.
Yeah.
Roger, when.
Yes. Either the dad.
What if I said I hate it? Somebody hate this.
I'm not surprised.
Did you guys pick up windmill? Windmill too?
Now you're gonna change your vote.
Now you just the north, now, not yet, not at all, not going to.
Really, you should have picked up.
They mentioned that they've had some conversations with your acquisition was, but I don't know how far it's gone. I would love to see you guys pick that.
To my knowledge, no, but they don't let me play in that sandbox. They want me focused on.
It'd be really cool if you get a townhome project, if you get this, then just in the north, you got your single family, larger lots. I think it'd be,
I really, I know we looked at the, what's that project to the west?
Oh, the benefit. Yeah, really big.
Is it?
As long as the freeway doesn't plow through it, it's.
I saw that, I'm like, wait a minute, why is the freeway? It's a 5100, what come on there?
I missed the conversation, our work session, we had the county commissioners come down. The planning commission, we're taking a close look at the general plan to find some fine tuning and, you know, we've had some new things happen in the last 4 years. Let's see if we've got the right stuff. Is that hang around you guys, post freeway and now they're over. We made promises to developers. We're not gonna,
Do you guys
support
interview that?
they're setting themselves up, so I think they're gonna have to get a lot of.
Sorry, Selvoy.
Am I out?
He's actually gonna do a light show for us.
Yeah,
That's it.
Well. Go to bed.
I haven't been satisfied with what I know. I got.
I don't
And I was spoiled. We even did politics.
So I think it's safe.
So short, but the end, I'm sure. Should have eight.
It's a whole reason.
Here comes the brief.
Several minor things.
Showers or all that.
I know.
So we started leaving the planning commission, not because of this planning commission, the Ogden Valley Planning Commission. We're just like, look, I don't know if everyone's just angry all the time. Let's start feeding them and see if they behave better. It didn't work. They weren't angry. They were just angry. Yeah, but I'm not gonna complain on behalf of you guys. Let's do it.
No, this is appropriate though, for as much time as it is, yeah, especially this time of night.
You've been on the road. Literal.
All right, you guys ready?
Casey, you need to say.
Nope, please start.
Okay. Selvoy, you called this message.
I know, thanks
Band
for,
meeting, Bessie band meeting. Go
thank
ahead.
you for indulging me.
Well, thank you, Chef.
Yeah.
No, I got what I wanted. Right now, it's to be here, so. Thank you, I appreciate it. I promised Tammy that I would keep this short. So, as long as you guys don't throw too many things at me, I think I'm okay.
Don't make me tell you to be quiet.
Andrew, zip it.
That's what I got told by my parents. All grown.
On the top of your packet is the latest and greatest concept plan. Try to take into account the notes that I had from last time. Couple things you'll notice, we did move the streets around so that we could create the two corridors and the space in between the units. We wanted to increase that. That got increased significantly, so it's roughly 40 feet. between those units so that there's that buffer, so that long corridor. The one of the comments from last time was talking about the whether the fire chief was on board. We had originally designed this with 24 feet of asphalt. Fire wanted 26. So we said, okay. So we're doing 30-foot. Yeah, it was a 30-foot right of way with 26 feet of asphalt. So we'll have 2 feet on either side with rollback
gutter.
curb and gutter.
Plus curb and gutter.
Yeah, so 30 feet total right away. So there should be plenty of space for emergency vehicles. And I think as far as the map goes, it's about, well, we also moved the pathway around the north side to be more in line with that site corridor. Because I figured Charlie would like it. Am I wrong?
No, it's pretty great.
If you look through your second and subsequent pages, right now our plan is to sell this to D.R. Horton. And so they provided us with some elevations and some floor plans with what they plan to put in there. The Dalton should be the first one. The requirement is for and the form-based code as I read it is agrarian is permitted of the types of or styles of architecture that are listed in the form-based code. Agrarian is one that's permitted, the other ones are not. But it also says, but the willing to consider others. We tried to get as close to the agrarian farmhouse style as we could get. And so the proposal from, or the farmhouse elevations from D.R. Horton is there. They call it the Dalton. That's the 2-story alley load or rear load. So this one is what you would see essentially along the public street on the east side. And so you would see those facades as you're making use of that public thoroughfare. The second one is the Millbrook.
Question.
Sir.
I can't see you on here. I can't see anyone very good. How many square feet you?
That's okay.
They don't have my big magnifying glass. Don't worry, it doesn't. You're gonna bring
It does. It says 1399.
Where'd you see that?
Very top.
It says the Dalton. On the picture page.
Oh, on the first page.
Yeah, it says it right underneath the name of the plan.
Oh, there's.
So roughly 1,400 square feet. So 1399.
Okay.
The second one then is the Millbrook. Those are the 2-story front load, which is essentially everything else on the interior of the project. Yeah,
I'm good.
you've got a smirk.
No.
Everything okay? Okay. And then you can see the associated floor plan.
Have any,
What's that?
oh, wait, we don't have any in the plan.
The front load.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are they gonna have, is the back door gonna look like a front door?
I don't know what the
Really, I don't think we need to go through all those animals. They're different.
Oh, look for the back, is that the other side?
well, that's
They're all the same.
the other.
Family room, a kitchen on the main, 2 or 3 bedrooms. Those
Those are
The garages are facing the private street. Is that what
right.
you're doing?
Yeah, because those are they're
The main entrance to the home is also off of the alley.
Right, it's on that private street is the front load. And
So is the front facing? Does the green indicate the front facing? Is that what you're
no,
talking about?
not necessarily. Well, no, because that's just green space.
Okay.
On the public street, with the Dalton, yes, those are front facing, those are alley load.
Okay.
The others, the Millbrook is front facing, front load. And so the rear of the house is facing that back open space.
Okay.
And
They don't really have a front for their house, they have a garage in the back.
and then the third one is the Oliver. That is the 3-story mixed use residential over on 900 South. You can see the
Let me go back to Millbrook.
Sure.
Real quick. You've got basement, second floor, are we, oh, no, I see, main floor, second floor.
So the Oliver's the one that's going to face 900 second.
Yes.
Well, two things are wrong with that. One, if I'm looking at it right, the first floor has a bedroom and a garage, not an office, or a place for an office. And I'm not seeing any posted beam. I'm seeing pretty much the same thing, only an extra level is what the rest of them want.
Well,
so I'm still not liking it. I can tell you that right now. Maybe we're not ready for this yet, Selvoy.
I think we are. Hold on.
I don't, because you keep bringing us the same thing.
Well, hold
Over
on.
and
This
over,
is still,
it's the same thing. You've changed the design a little bit. You know, yeah, sure, I like all of this stuff that you did here. But on 900, that is not what the general plan is called.
well, the design, I mean, we think the design, I mean, we need to make a few little modifications on the facade to match the agrarian look, which we can do that. The idea though, or the big thing is that the place where it says bedroom, all we need to do is, I mean, just change that to say office. And it's the same space. But it's the dedicated space on that first floor, like the code says, and everything else, we think everything else complies to the code.
Well, so there is no code, and this doesn't match what we anticipated when we did the general plan. Charlie, let me if I'm wrong when I say that.
Now, if these are going in that commercial area, the current code required post and beam. And so if these were allowed to go in, we'd have to modify it through the development.
When you say post and beam, what do you mean?
The ground floor, commercial area basically just needs to be post and beam construction so that your interior walls, aren't walls at all.
Are supported by the center wall.
Yep, you just got posts holding up the floor and you could move those walls at any point in time. So it's convertible for a wide variety of commercial opportunities.
But in the meantime, until the commercial comes, darn it can be used as residential space.
We have to write that in the development agreement because the form-based code doesn't currently say that, but I would agree that we should probably allow that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. So are we talking, I mean, just everything on the first floor being post and beam?
Yeah.
Okay.
Second floor, we're not as concerned about movable walls or making it convertible because if it stays residential, that's fine.
I mean, essentially, does that essentially unfinished?
No, no. Post and beam is just the structural component of it. You could have your interior walls, your finishings, your furnishings, whatever else you have in there. It just, someone needs to be able to take a sledge to one of those sheetrock walls and move it so they could build a suit for the next tenant who may want to move it.
Okay.
I'd be okay with them, like, it would be okay at the size that each. Like each unit could be that size and just movable within that unit, it just needs to be open within that unit.
Well, so the intention would be that the building ground floor. It can be converted in any way, all the way across.
No bearing walls,
Yeah, on the
other
inside.
other than the garage, the, the area.
The foundation, the exterior, yeah.
Yeah.
And then interior is all held up with posts and beams.
And these are,
So what including?
What is
those
it?
are only 20 feet wide. I'm pretty sure there's no port in that, so I think we're good.
Yeah, that's, I skipped ahead, Sarah, that's how I got to my point really quick. Is when you look at the width of those. They're 42 by 20. And it's like, okay, that takes care of that for me, because that's not what that's supposed to look like out there. And what you did to me, Selvoy, I'm sorry, we know each other pretty well. You do. And we spar. I know. But And that's this, okay. this is a bit of an insult. I mean, we've spent a lot of time on this. I realize what you guys can sell, and I know that's what this all is based on. But we have a responsibility to that general plan. And it's not easy to go through that general plan process. And so it's like, you at least gotta come close to satisfying what the general plan requiring for form-based code. And this isn't it. Well, I got,
You just heard straight from the commissioner's mouth that she wants to stick close to it, so she can guarantee the public what they ask for.
right, what they expect, right, what they expect from the general plan. And the other concern that I have is, I could possibly be a little more open-minded. But you got that wild card to the west side of them that we don't know what's going to end up there.
You did it to 20 acres.
Yeah, that strip along 4700.
Thought that was cut and dry.
It's cut and dry, but there's nothing there.
Property on the left side, yeah.
There's been a lot of stuff with the neighbor that's cut and dry.
Donate over there, that was part of it.
Are you talking to the east?
To the east or to the west? Which one, Jed?
The west is the Blanche property.
Because
It's
we're-
4,700.
Yeah, so you got the Blanche property and then you have 4,700.
I can't say that name.
I did. Sorry, I owe everyone $20. I didn't get your pizza next time.
Liam's not here, all bets are off.
Yeah, so we still don't know what's gonna happen on the Blanche property. We're pretty dang sure based off of phase one of
He's
this
locked.
project. That he's locked, that there's open space there, but that's yet to be tested. And where that PRUD is now expired, it may mean it's expired across the board. So we're gonna try and keep him accountable. Remember, he did ask for a little bit of commercial up front in exchange. We were asking for that park in the back. That still may be on the table. It may be on the table just to downzone the whole thing to the O1 zone. Lots of things could happen. I think it's accurate to say we're not quite sure what's gonna happen there.
It's a wild card. And this looks like the stripes on a skunk. You got single family dwellings. Then you go into this high density. If we knew that this high density was gonna take the next step further west, I could work with this. But we don't know that. I'm not against this portion here. Okay. Really, I mean, you added these single family lots in around the outside. But this part here is very concerning. The general plan is the general plan. And we have a requirement there. We should be able to meet the expectation.
So you're talking about the unit on 900.
Yes, sir. But I guess that's what I thought. I honestly thought that the mixed use commercial space, I mean, it's labeled as red, that this is exactly what was
You don't have to change
anticipated.
anything except get a different plan that shows there's.
Well, but when you say post and beam, I don't understand how this isn't post and beam, and this is, and I admit that this is my inexperience. These are individual units. Even though they might be built all together, they're individual units. So down here on this first floor, let me get to the first floor where the garage is. Okay, you can't tell the guy that bought the place next door to you that you share a wall with, that you're gonna knock out his, wall and make that area bigger. So instead of being 20 feet wide, it's now 40 feet wide. Right.
where the post and beam gives the opportunity for that kind of expansion. Now, I don't know how you sell post and beam. That's not my business. I don't really care. I know how you build it. It's pretty simple. You put the posts up, you put the beams on, and it creates a great big open area if you so desire, or you can partition it off.
It's the difference between what this is and what post and beam is the type of occupancy and the building code. So your fire rating is going to be significantly different if you've got just these false walls that could be moved around without a permanent footing underneath them. Whereas if you had just the posts inside of that first floor holding up the second floor, and you've got more above that. That would give a lot of opportunity for things to move around, but for this one, you've got ground to attic fire rating based off of individual units, not based off of the ability to expand.
So how do you do that with, I mean, because the code talks about commercial space on the first floor and then residential on the second and third floors, or, above that.
Mhm.
How do you do post and beam and be able to expand with the stairs in there? Or any other?
It's a whole different design.
It's a hard part.
It's not this.
So well, how do you do it? I mean,
that's one of the reasons why the code currently says that commercial's commercial, we're not allowing residential.
well, yeah, but this isn't commercial. I mean, there's like the vehicle only commercial, which I understand, but that's not what this is.
Right.
This
So
specifically is for mixed use residential.
mixed use commercial. is what it's called. Yeah, so it says the ground floor needs to be post and beam so that commercial can happen there, and the code doesn't allow residential to happen on the ground floor at all right now. So we'd have to carve out an exception to that rule in the development agreement, even to allow residential to occupy that space. The intention being that this is a podium building. Your first floor is a completely different occupancy, different fire rating, different thing. And then your residential starts on that second floor and goes up.
Okay, so I mean, I don't know if you guys have seen the mixed use building over on Washington here at our Midtown. That we've got a mixed use where it's commercial, like 4 commercial units that are as it's designed, and then like 12 condos on the second and third floors.
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking?
Sounds like that might be
Yeah,
what we're thinking.
It's condo above, so they're separately owned above than below. I think that's the concept they were hoping for. I'm not personally opposed to this concept. I have other issues with the design of it, but the townhome one that I think flexes better from residential to commercial. I'm personally okay with it, but yeah, it doesn't meet the code.
I mean, we're talking about an area on this Oliver design that potentially here, if you took out, I don't even know what you could take out, because you got laundry upstairs, you got the mechanical room down here on the main floor. So really, with things being what they are, you could carve out this 11 by 1110.
Yeah, I mean,
make that an area.
I mean,
That's really essentially about all you could do.
yeah.
Well, your mechanical room could stay on that first floor, right?
Yeah.
Well, but I think
Mechanical room and stairs, basically, if it was, if I'm understanding correctly, everything was gone, other than the stairs and the mechanical room would meet our expectation, right?
Well, I don't say,
Bathroom now, or some sort of restaurant.
I don't know that it does, but I don't know that it does. I mean, from what Andrew's saying, I mean, it sounds like he's saying that even that doesn't really.
No, you don't.
We want the idea of multiple units to be able to be linked together if desired.
Yeah.
Well, I think they still could if they.
Not if it's a solid wall.
Not if it's all wall, if it's, well, that's true.
You'd have to structurally
But if you-
rebuild the entire base in order to allow for that to happen, in order for it to be in compliance with commercial building standards. And the cost to do that is just cost prohibitive, so we're not actually reserving the opportunity for convertible commercial space.
Man, Andrew, I thought I was coming with better answers. And
with that in mind, I know Aaron understood what we were saying. That's why he said, if we have to do that, we're not gonna be able to build it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Which is fine too. Leave it as put your detention basin there, and maybe 20 or 30 years from now, somebody builds on top of the detention basin with a commercial.
Okay. Okay.
That knocks out all those units.
So, Charlie, My concern is. In the street regulating plan, do we talk about parks and amenities? Cause this is something that needs an amenity of some sort.
Mhm.
And we do talk about.
Yeah, so street-
parking out.
Street regulating, well, okay, so, sorry, back up a little bit. The street regulating plan does identify green spaces, it does identify, trail corridors, all that kind of stuff. When it comes to getting that from the developer, we would do that through a development agreement.
Okay, and it may or may not be within their development area.
Yeah, it'd be the same thing that we're doing, on other projects. If they don't have enough green space
Okay.
area to actually make a meaningful park, maybe it's a contribution to another park, or maybe it's a financial donation, something that helps parks be created at a 10 acre per thousand population.
So my main concerns, I just giggled, this is. Looking at these plans, I love what they're building. This is it's not even a 20 by 22 car garage. So of these plans, we would require a lot more parking if that's the proposed garage size, because that would, all of these garages that are in these plans here are considered 1-car garages. That's not large enough for 2 cars.
You park 2 cars next to each other in 19 close.
No, you cannot. Not even, if you drive a mini.
If they got a moon roof.
Typical parking space in a commercial parking lot is 9 by 18, 9 by 20, unless you've got curb, then you go 9 by 18. And so you could squeeze 2 cars in, but if you got 2 larger, wider cars, and you've got, instead of
You wanna open your door.
other cars over here in mirrors where there's a little bit of configuration space, you've got walls. It's a lot harder, yeah. But I say that, and I also have a 9-foot wide garage.
Can
And
you get in it?
it's a shimmy. It's actually it's a commercial, or excuse me, it's a Christmas decoration storage compound now.
That's the normal.
Hence.
But when I first bought it, I did park in it, and you open it, the door hits the wall, and you slide out.
So I count 72 parking spaces for the development, and there are 190 total units. Where we don't have any driveway parking. I think we need. At least 1 per unit, at least 1. These out front right here would only count towards commercial parking, so they wouldn't count towards the residents. These townhomes to the side, I think we need to have more single-family homes. There aren't enough single-family homes in the development.
Sure.
What? Right here, one's to the north. And this layout is working. I'm liking this to the middle, but the intent would be for the front of the homes to face that walkway, so they have a beautiful entrance, and then the back of the home would be the alley entrance. So I'm sure I'm sure these, well, you've got some plans, but I'm sure D.R. Horton could provide some sort of plans like that.
Actually, they could be pretty simple. If you look at the model that's gonna have that middle corridor going through it. The back of the house, quote unquote, back of the house
Yeah.
is where the living space opens into. So you can have a front door, quote unquote, front door going right into that living room as opposed to going in through the garage in the back.
Yeah.
So they could call the garage the front, but for all intents and purposes, the public would see the front on the back.
So we just want visually that, to have the front visually where those walkways are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
No 7 plexes. For us and for you. Nobody wants to buy them and we don't want to see them.
We said that last time.
Yeah, we did.
Well,
And I mean, this is Ogden. So that's a concern of mine. I don't. Do these the private streets don't need to have sidewalk, but as long as the public streets do.
yeah, the public streets would.
But yeah, I think these town homes, is that what these are? Is that the TH7?
No, so that, I talked to the engineer about this, because that's a new thing. I don't know why you put those on this latest drawing, but those are not townhomes. Those are small, single family lots.
Oh, those are single.
Yeah,
family.
I pointed that out to him. I don't know why he added those. It was kind of a last minute.
5,000 square foot single family lots.
Yeah.
You could, and then if you could do
Suppose we
the-
could make them
they should
count.
be big enough that you shouldn't be able to do the garage in the back on those ones. Those are good sizes to do that. The 52, yeah. Okay, that's fine. That doesn't bother me. Yeah, the 7-plex and just so much more parking.
If it gets rid of 7-plexes, that gives them more parking spaces.
Yeah. And nothing 20 feet wide. 24 feet means the interior dimensions 23 feet. That seems reasonable.
Can I ask on parking, just want to kind of do a mental exercise so I fully understand where you guys are coming from. If you were to buy one of these units and move in, where would you park? Where would you choose to park? Would you find space out on 900 and walk? Would you go over to the single family residential neighborhood and walk? Or would you be more likely where you can't park on the street to make sure your garages are open? I mean, the concern is that if there's space for them to park on the lot, they're gonna fill the garage up and they're just gonna keep the car outside, right? But if there's nowhere for them to park and they have to walk a good distance, does that help resolve itself? Or does it push the problem into other neighborhoods? What do you
Even if
guys
they can
think?
actually fit their cars in the garage, they'll park in the garage,
Or park in the garage and on their driveway.
but they don't have driveways.
No, yeah, no
There's
driveway.
no driveways.
So it pushes them to park in the garage.
Barely got 2 parkings. Maybe in the garage.
Well, yeah, but you're probably
Gotta
not
get
gonna
the,
do that if you have 2 cars, because you need some place to store your stuff too. So 1 car will go in your garage.
Well, remember,
Only
these
when
are,
in any of these garages.
I mean, these are not designed for everybody. I mean, they're not designed to have 2 big trucks.
Anybody,
What's that?
everybody or anybody.
There are plenty of people that would buy these.
Well, but
There-
what is concerning, what we're seeing in trend right now, and this is what I experienced in California, is the most affordable housing tends to house the most people with the most cars. It's just the trend because it's expensive. And it is really funny, I was doing a project for something else and I was trying to show people what San Jose looked like when I lived there and why we drive through neighborhoods to see where we want to live. Because every street we went through, we're like, well, can't have a guest over because there isn't a single place on the street to park. And so I just randomly dropped Google Maps onto a street. Sure enough, you look up and down that street and there are cars in every driveway, so you know their garage is not being used. Nobody's tandem parking, nobody's blocking their own access. That doesn't happen, but the whole street is lined. So there's no room for a delivery. And for me, the safety, we don't allow fences above 3 feet in the front of our houses, but for some reason, everyone can line their cars in front and then people and children try and get out of the driveway and can't see anywhere.
Yeah.
Like, that's just not safe.
These few parking stalls are gonna be used by residents, it's not guests.
Yeah.
And so in Utah, where everyone wants their family to come over for Sunday dinner, there's just nowhere for them to park. No.
What if that east-west, just spitballing here, what if that east-west pathway connection through the middle of the project where you see those spaces lining? What if that was oriented the other way and cars could use it if they're just going to access parking spaces? So you put parking spaces on both sides of it. It's wider so that you can get a car down it, maybe 2 cars down it.
Are you talking about this one right here?
Yeah, so it's still a pathway, but maybe it's used for people trying to get to a parking space as well.
It's like basically a private drive with parking on either side.
That's what public there's a thoroughfare pathway as when they're on their feet or on their bikes or whatever.
So Charlie, are you saying like just something like this where you're making it accessible? Come in and park this way?
Yeah, I don't know if the geometry would work to give you more parking, but take this, make it a little wider, run it a little bit more down the center, and then get yourself some nose in parking on both sides of it. That might give you a ton of parking. I don't know, I haven't done the math yet, but my guess is it'll double the amount of parking that's just in this open space area.
I'm just worried about that.
Even if you got rid of.
Okay.
The what?
Well, You're saying, if we came up here and then just parked like this way, so people came in and then
These units here.
additional parking. You're saying?
Yep, so turn the parking instead of being off of
Little spaces.
private street, turn parking 90 degrees. And widen your center pathway so that you get a ton of parking.
And make that pathway
Just wider,
just a little bit wider so that it's a.
useful for vehicles, even though it's public, footpath.
We'll say down there.
Okay.
But we probably want, maybe some curbs, that little curb or something, so it's not super comfortable too. I don't want someone blasting through there where pedestrians are going in, but.
You want that connecting to this public street?
Yeah, it actually lined that up with the public street, which is fine.
Just those things like that.
Yeah.
The whole way.
It is there.
Yeah, and parking on both sides of the house, so. That's why I think that's why I think we would double the amount of parking we have in that green space area.
Okay.
You get rid of a little bit of green space in favor of parking, but I think that's okay. It's still open for, still providing good east and west connection for pedestrians and bikes. And you're giving a convertible use of that pedestrian access way for people to get to the park.
Just 6 feet.
I don't know.
If you're okay with it, I mean, sure.
The geometry might not work, so.
Sir, is
It's worthwhile to look
We
at,
can make the geometry.
in this instance, from what we're talking about.
especially if you're in 7 places.
Would you configure 3 cars per?
It's under the.
And the
It's
reason
under
is
the
they
actually
actually got 2
of the building, right? So,
for somebody that.
well, it's still,
See,
I mean, the code allows it.
Yeah, but I don't think that's fair.
No.
I grew, my first house was a townhouse, so apartment on both, and we have 2 stalls where each one is on. Yeah, it was a thing.
And all your
stalls station.
That's why I think, that's why I was going 3.
A lot of times,
Never
yes.
one outside.
Is the question about, sorry, there's a question about, do you have less parking with the smaller units or the higher density units? Is that what the question was?
Well, just how many parking places should you have per unit?
So,
That's the question.
Sarah brings up a really good point. There is a phenomenon in some locations that do facilitate multiple unrelated people in one dwelling unit of multiple cars. But across the board, as a general statement, the higher the density you have, the lower the amount of cars per capita. And so while we will always be looking for at least 2 parking spaces per dwelling unit under our code for single family dwellings. When you get down to condos, apartments or whatever, it's not uncommon to find codes that drop that to maybe it's 1.5 parking spaces per dwelling. I think up in Nordic.
Talking about, I've never heard of these.
I'll get you some, I'll get you some.
I don't think we can go on the outside of my codes.
What's that?
I don't think we ought to go on the outside of our codes.
We just don't have very good code on this, that's the problem.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So just talking about from a general,
Right.
this is,
It's 1 parking space per bedroom, that's the generally. Because
Bedroom?
per bedroom, at least 2,
Wow.
even with a 1
That's-
bedroom. In Utah, that's generally.
Then Selvoy's like.
We're not, we can't build this at all.
Bedroom.
These are, 2 and 3 bedroom, I mean, these are 3
we do
bedroom.
have statistics for that, so I'll pull
No
those.
way.
That's the reality, because we don't live close to public transit. Everyone has a car. The statistics you're stating are downtown Salt Lake City or
Generally-
or walkable areas,
Right.
but for areas outside of walkable transit, it's a minimum of 2 per unit and 1 per bedroom is not an unreasonable request.
One of the other things that the scholars talk about when it comes to parking is parking a market-driven limitation? Will that determine who moves into these developments? Let's say you just have a single car garage and you don't provide any other parking for them to move in. Are they gonna have another car? Maybe it goes into a storage unit, maybe it goes into the neighborhood next door. You get those challenges, but
I'll show you.
what the experts on zoning reform are guiding us into as saying parking standards, the bank will determine how many parking spaces you need, even on residential dwellings. Parking standards aren't the problem. It's a matter of making sure you've got designs that work. Now, I think we've got a hybrid issue going on because we are removed from the population center out here. We hope 20 years from now that we can get down to a 1.5 car per.
We'll never
dwelling.
get there. It's not that way outside of Manhattan City right now. Outside of the dense hubs of the United States, there is not viable public transportation where you absolutely don't have to have a car. Everyone has to have a car unless they live in the city center. So these experts that you're quoting, they're from California. And when you go, I know because I listened to them at the Land Use Institute, and I'm like, take your California, I've seen it, and leave it in California. But the statistics and everything that they're stating is based on a totally different community and a totally different reality than we're ever going to experience in Utah, even Long Island. Everyone has a car or two in Long Island.
So this data does exist. I'll pull it. We can see how it affects, it exists specific to the Wasatch Front. I'll pull it, we'll see what those numbers are. And if the numbers show, yeah, we definitely need more than two, then let's stick with that. If not, maybe it's worth a conversation. I'm not advocating.
Drive down the road and see the statistics in firsthand, because if you go just whatever that neighborhood is just past, or just east of the West Haven Cemetery, those are individual houses, right? They're not townhomes.
Right.
They have one lane driveway basically, and I think it's considered a 2-car garage. The street's full of cars constantly.
And there's that other one over on 2550 south too.
Yeah.
Just west of 1900 on the north side. It's the same way.
Right, so I'm not saying, I think you have to have at least 2 stalls for each one. Whether you count that as a single car garage with a driveway that can fit another car, or a double car garage, whatever, like we need at least 2 places for these people to park a car per house.
Talk to me a little bit about your concern on street parking. Having the street,
I think it's fine during the summer, but having family that worked for counties and cities plowing, it is a huge hazard in the winter time in our climate. Not this year, but in a lot of years.
And most city codes don't allow you to park on the street overnight. So if we don't plan parking for them off the street, where are they supposed to go?
Yeah, some city codes don't allow parking overnight. There are a lot of city codes that do require on-site parking, but are silent on whether or not to park on the street.
These roads anyway.
And I don't think it's all black and white either. There's plenty of Ogden roads that were created that were really big and people park on the street and it's like, oh, it's not a big deal. But when you have this neighborhood I'm talking about, where you barely feel like you're getting through with one vehicle, granted, I drive a big truck, but going through that, it's like, oh, this feels really tight and I'm terrified that little kids gonna run out.
So we're getting somewhere with that. That's perfect. It's the design of the cross section of that road is important. If there's street parking shoulder space that feels safe and convenient, is street parking at that point okay? I mean, yes, in the snowstorms, you still have to move. What's that?
Are you talking about designated street parking?
Just curb parking between driveways. Would you have a concern with that as long as they move them while it's snowing? I mean, that is a standard that every already has.
And maybe Tammy knows this more than me. I just remember from one side, brothers and my dad, but those people get used to that and they get programmed in their parking there. Come winter time, they don't move their shiz out of the way.
Yeah.
It's true,
Like,
nobody regulates it.
yeah.
I mean, we don't have somebody to regulate that all the time. That's a
You wanna
problem.
know what regulates it on my street when the plow doesn't come in and plow it because everybody has their cars marked? When we have enough driveway space, we can park off the
This
street,
becomes a big
but
problem. Right?
yeah.
The reason why I asked the question isn't because we need to have an answer for that. If we want to do 2 units per dwelling on this one, I've got no problem with that. The reason I asked the question is because I do live on a street where we do street parking. We're supposed to move our cars when the plows are coming down. We don't most of the time. The plows go around.
What size street are you on?
But it's a 27 foot wide asphalt.
So it's small.
It's very small. You can technically pass 2 cars with 2 cars parked on the side, but you're squeezing. It is not comfortable to do and nobody does. Everybody, you pull over, you let something go and you move on. Now, one of the big differences is it's not a great linear stretch, right? It goes from one block to the other and that's it. So it's similar to this. You've got terminal sides on both sides. It's not a through street. It is supposed to go slow and it feels good to go slow.
And now I know why you have 50 lights on your bike.
Yeah. That's for 26th Street and that's wide.
Drive slower. I mean, and they keep using this as a traffic calming measure. But it's still, it's just. It is difficult to see people when, like, if there's one car parked, you can see before where the car is parked and after to get in and out.
Yeah.
Just for me, I go in and out of work on, do you guys know Wasatch Drive? You know what I'm talking about, Wasatch Drive, there's these townhomes. Nobody parks in the available parking lot, they park in front of their townhome. And then when I'm trying to get out of like the roads to get onto that driveway, there've been several accidents because you can't see people coming.
Okay.
You can't see
So
anyone
it's
coming.
back to the sight distance issue, yeah, that's.
Yeah, and so that's, but if they're going slower, that helps. I mean, part of me would be like, let's have no street parking and only designated parking. I prefer that, so narrow up the streets and we only drive on the streets and we only park in real parking spots.
Actually, I would love that idea. I'm kind of disappointed that the fire chief said 26 foot wide here and not 20, because 20 people wouldn't park. Somebody stupid is gonna park there and the neighbors are gonna call the HOA president, but for the most part, you're not gonna see parking on there. There's not space for it.
For Selvoy's sake, I think, for me, it's feeling like at least a real 2-car garage. And I think you're just have too many units in here to get the size of those that were.
So I did bring that feedback back to Aaron and the group, and the pushback that I got from them was, yeah, but not everybody wants to pay for the bigger garage, not everybody wants the bigger garage, and not everybody needs it, and so that was.
Well, here's the real truth though, who's paying for it?
Hey, you know what? We don't have to debate this. That's an economics question. That's for you guys to figure out. We have a responsibility to the general plan. That's what we're talking about. And that responsibility is what we're talking about. You guys choose not to listen. So if you choose not to listen, you don't need to build. Bring us something back when they're serious about wanting to build something and we'll look at it. And that's about enough for me, guys. I don't know about you, but I'm done. We've looked at this a half a dozen, this is 3 or 4 times now. And I've really, you haven't really done anything different than where we started. Yeah, you took a few units out from the first go around, but other than that, you're not listening. You're not hearing what we're saying. We're wasting time and we're having debates that we don't need to have. So that's where we're at. You can take that back to Aaron and tell him that I'm the biggest ass on the face of the earth, but that's the way I feel. So, and he'll understand that because maybe I feel the same.
Ever been to cutter races?
What's that, Jeff?
Ever been to cutter races?
The what?
Cutter races,
Gutter races?
where they pull gutter behind the horse.
Oh, cutter.
Have these in for barrels every week. That's the only reason I used to go when I was a kid. Oh, they have these in for barrels.
And I,
No hard feelings.
no, hell,
No hard
none.
feelings, Selvoy, but that's the way it is. You're not listening to us. Or
Well, I felt-
maybe you are.
I
but
thought it
somebody's
was,
not.
Well,
So.
I feel like I'm listening, but I feel like I'm not understanding. There, and maybe, but
To that,
we're
to that
trying,
end, I apologize. I was out of town for a couple of weeks, so I didn't.
Well,
I
let's
didn't
give
see
you
this.
something to go with. You want 2 per unit?
Yeah,
Oh, for parking? Yeah.
yeah.
2 parking spaces,
Let's
no
stick
7
with that, Lisa.
plexes.
okay,
No 7 plexes. I'm really concerned about the 15 feet between these big units because that looks okay when you have like little homes. But the massing of 6 connected units, 15 feet is gonna seem quite small. I don't know, Charlie, what do you think about that? The massing where you've got the 6 units connected and only 15 feet between them, does that concern you?
what does the code say? I thought we were to code on that, but I'll have to look.
You know, we did put a linear width limitation in the residential zone for the R3 zones. It really depends, you know, it would be really nice to be able to see 2 or 3 of them next to each other. So I'm pretty sure right next door with 15 feet, it's just gonna be
It's
garage.
overwhelming, isn't it?
Now, one of the things that we did in the residential zones as well is if you are doing your maximum width of 7 units, we do allow 7 plexes in our R3 zones. You have to have unique facades for each unit. They can't all look the same, and that is where you get diversification.
Oh, and it does have to have plan changes, so yeah, this cookie cutter wouldn't work with that.
Right, Which D.R. Horton knows because we talked to them about that on a different project. They know that every unit should have a unique face, despite the fact that what's behind it, your window sizes are probably all the same and what's behind it is all the same.
And that'll help it not look so, help with the smaller scrapes, okay?
And it won't look like you're just going down a narrow corridor of basically a brick wall on both sides.
Yeah.
Right?
They're almost there with this. One question I had a couple months ago, we talked about giving more opportunity for different styles, not just the.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
I'm glad you asked, because I did want to tell you, yes. We did tell you, in our last work session that the county commission wasn't ready for us to make changes. That turned around pretty darn quick. We heard what they were saying, here within a couple of days. They said, nah, let's do what we need to do. I think, they didn't fully understand the question that was being posed until, a developer or two came in and said, hey, if we do it that way, then we're stunted.
Yeah.
All of a sudden the commissioners all changed their mind, which was great. So had I brought that code revamp to you guys in the form-based code, I've got all of the styles that are in there, as allowed. And I've added 2 additional styles, for you guys to think about. Okay.
Is that something that you can go back to D.R. Horton with and say, hey, there is other, I mean.
Yes.
I'm getting a little tired of the agrarian, am I saying right?
Mhm.
That stuff, but it also fits with what surrounds that area right now.
I like to call it a garage area.
Well, but there's a lot of variation within agrarian, I mean, within that definition too, though. I mean, there's, I mean, I
just want
pulled up.
you to know there's some options, just in case D.R. Horton's like, well, that's all we got for that.
Well,
they got
plenty of others. No, but I mean, I got online and just kind of did a search for like, what does agrarian really mean, or farmhouse look? And I got a really wide variety of things that, I mean, that I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't get bored looking at it, but I also know that you don't want
this too.
Well, but I also know that you don't want the same five townhomes throughout the entire county, do you?
Yeah.
Right? So how much variety do you want? How much variety are you allowed?
I think the same general style in that
It
area.
changes on 8, doesn't it, Charlie? Isn't that what we've said?
7. So
Seven?
your building can be no more than 7 units wide, and each unit has to have its own unique, diverse.
But how often do they start over again?
7.
7, it is at 7, okay.
Yeah, so the 8th one, yeah.
Right.
You'd be different.
You do your math your way.
Oh, are we counting 2, 3? Or are we going after 3? You guys know the brick building on, it's Wall Avenue, what street is that? I think it's in Harrisville, or maybe it's just Northern Ogden area. It's a townhome project, faces.
All right by the DI.
Oh, there you go. Yep, that's where it's.
Second Street.
Something. Yeah, they're really pretty.
So.
Is that the one I'm thinking of, the right one?
Yeah, my first look at that was, wow, this is really attractive. But then it keeps going and going.
Yeah,
and going.
They do.
And so I thought, gosh, these are beautiful, but have a break in the middle so that I could see something other than just a
I
brick
still
wall.
love some of my favorite ones.
I do agree.
Grace to it is the lines in the brick. But yeah, it does go on and on and on. Yeah.
Yeah. I thought maybe if they took that center one and just did a different treatment, then things.
Or even pushed one out every so often.
Yeah.
That's what we saw at Vineyard, right? Is there was more broke up, so that's what made it feel that way.
So there was that one that was at their entrance that they told us they learned a lesson.
Right.
Yeah.
Make good development standards, otherwise you're just gonna have flat wall and shallow roofs.
But that was the one right there at Utah City, right there across from Geneva.
Right at their entrance. Yeah.
Right as you come down the hill.
The gateway to their community
Right.
is that ugly building, was the first thing I saw. But then you got into it where they realized if we need to build these development standards into our CCNR so that when we sell to these developers, they are picking them up and building to a higher quality standard.
Okay, so now do we have anything else for Selvoy to work on in case he wants to come back?
So
we don't
we want for parking because we don't have driveways.
Yeah.
So for me, where we don't have driveways, asking for one off-street parking per unit doesn't seem insane.
Okay, so let's do at least one off-street per unit.
One off-street per unit.
Total of 2.
Well, no, and two in the garage, one sorry,
Okay,
two in the garage and one that's off, so I guess three.
which, so the off-street one would be either for the third car or for the visitor. So,
Yeah.
okay, so we're not saying
For the
that,
residents who don't park.
And can you, would you do a compromise at 2.5?
I just think, I don't think it's unreasonable to think that we will need one parking stall per unit outside the garage where there is not a driveway. That just doesn't seem, I don't think so.
Selvoy, not counting the spread.
There's
Whatever,
72
commercial
parking spots.
72, how many units is there?
190.
And there's 72 extra ones that are not attached, is that what you're saying?
more than double.
72 are, yeah, all, not these ones here, but
Yeah.
all of these ones here. I counted 72. Does that sound right?
I didn't, it sounds about right.
Yeah, we'll look at it. So one space per unit.
Not enough, let's put it that way, how's that?
Thank you.
Very agreeable.
I'm not saying I agree with it, I'm just saying from your perspective, you think it's not enough.
It's a contract, man. So parking, what else did we say? Parking, front facade.
We're wanting each individual unit to look separate, right? Each door,
7 flags.
that doesn't mean paint each door a different color, that means like each.
Yeah, no, that's up to you guys. If you guys wanna apply that standard to this, you can.
It needs to be.
Yeah. Especially.
No, I'm gonna drive around and take some pictures in the next few weeks of different places.
And someone like, I don't mind, but to me, it just comes down to the quality. The reason those brick ones look nice is because for one, they're brick
Yeah.
and you can tell in the
That's the best part.
details. They're a quality.
So are you happy with what they have here, as far as it's slightly broken up?
I'm
So it
not,
looks like one big house instead, but
these aren't overwhelmingly pretty, no.
Don't we have codes for this already, John?
We do, but what's written in our form-based zone standards are very.
These are the one I don't
They're
mind.
designed for the Ogden Valley where the market was gonna provide higher end building as it was. Resort oriented building. It's not designed, it's really flexible.
We should fix that, so when somebody picks up a piece of that.
So I'm bringing it back to you guys with fixes.
Some things we don't love, and this,
that's not fair for our opinion over there. Selvoy, that was a joke earlier.
What was that?
When
Oh,
I
yeah, but that's supposed to be the
earlier
back.
about the.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It was a joke.
I know.
This is okay for the back.
Yeah.
And it needs a front.
I think that's a great back, or your guys' version of front, that's fine. I think that's a great back.
That's a back. This one's good. Yeah, I don't think that's
Yes.
good enough. I've seen better, I've seen them.
It's my favorite of all the ones in
If it was brick, it would be beautiful.
And they wouldn't be able to afford it anyway.
No. You can wait, wrap up for that. Days, oh yeah.
So, can I give you some information to work with?
Well, I can work, but I can take it back and we'll see what happens, but.
We'll see how much more your butt's gone when you come in next time.
Might lose some weight.
Tell Aaron he owes you lunch tomorrow. And then the engineer that set you up for failure, have him buy your lunch the next day.
Yeah, we're gonna have a talk.
Facade variety,
Commissioners, do you have anything else? Any other suggestions?
space per unit,
Yeah, the
front
time.
facade. second side. If I didn't force you, then-
And I'd love to see like what
You're off.
those single family homes look like on this, like what they're thinking for those 15 foot frontages. If they really could do cottage lots, I tell you, they will sell for more. People will pay more for those. I ever come after.
He's a salesman, he's tougher than that case.
Oh, I.
So when I say these, that's.
What's that, Andrew?
Oh, I.
Oh.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, what is the conversation with the developers?
I'm actually an operations
manager.
Sales team, I got out of it, a lot of the sales.
You've been there, you've been beat up.
Yeah, so I worked for Martin Sarge, really strict contract and things on
You can do something. What are you doing? So tell me first, we're clear. They're saying.
I don't mind
Has to have a garage.
Well, I'm trying to get you there, but we just don't get any.
Well, like I said, we thought we were we thought we were doing to what the code said, so.
Yeah, well, I think.
Well, we're looking at the codes now, you know, things we probably need to clarify to make it easier for this process. If we're looking for something different than what the code is clearly stating, then you probably need to listen.
And it sounds like Charlie's working on that.
Well, and if the code doesn't say what you want it to say, then obviously change the code, but if we're designing to the code, then we should be able to move forward with. And have that expectation that if you're designing to the code, that it's gonna be approved.
Don't put everybody on that bet, Selvoy, I'm telling you.
How does that not work when you've done everything the code says?
Because you don't have the zone yet.
Well, I know, but that's the point. It says that you do everything the way the code says, and then it gets turned down, you know, I mean, it seems to me that.
I think what you're saying is, we don't have our stuff together in the right. So we can point in the exact right direction, we're not there yet.
We're also,
Maybe
we're also, aren't we one of the first developers like to do the code, the form-based code?
Yes.
I mean, aren't we kind of growing together in this? I mean, aren't we
Yeah,
figuring this out?
I'm saying.
Glad you see it that way, because that's good.
So I'm not here trying to fight and throw elbows, you know, I know you're not either, so I'm not taking it
I'm
personally.
here for the fight.
I know.
Not that's what you got me.
You have those soft chips, I find it.
Well, so honestly, the fact that we are comfortable of doing friendly banter with you and everything, and
I appreciate
exactly
that.
how we feel is a good thing, because there's other ones where like, no, come back later. It's like,
Yeah.
I work with you in that way, and be straightforward with you.
I am accustomed to much more contention in my professional interactions, so yeah, it's not a problem.
So when you were subdivision and you met all the ordinance, legally, you're obligated to approve it.
Right.
For this is discretionary.
Right, but even with discretion, you still jump through all the hoops.
It's any flaw they see in the existing ordinance that doesn't fit the community very well, as we grow together.
No, it really is.
This is the only time they're gonna be able to get those flaws addressed.
Yeah, well, and that's I guess that's what's frustrating, is that when you think you've addressed the flaws based on looking at the code, so, well, wait a minute, I thought we were ready to go.
They haven't said, we're gonna deny this.
I know.
They just said, so when I don't hear no, I hear make
Hey, that's a
improvements.
win. That's a win sometimes, right? So, thank you for your time. I know it took a little bit longer than 10
I
minutes.
think I heard Andrew say that.
I didn't say, one person didn't say no.
Andrew didn't say no. He said hell no. So let's get clear.
We got some room for improvement, that's for sure.
Thanks, Al. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.